show. Away the Irish show. Away the Irish show. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison. I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing. Doing a damn thing. The call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Oh, Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome back, folks, to I'm scared to ask, but welcome back to I'm really interested to learn what the vibes are around Notre Dame Nation after the holiday edition of the Always Irish radio show. New time, new hour, still bringing the same power, baby. I don't know whether this is going to do horrible numbers, the same numbers as the morning, better than the mornings. I don't know what it's going to do, and that's not important. The important part is that we're all together. It's amazing. Every time there's a holiday, something's going on, John leaves town, every time something happens, then there's a bunch of news, and then I feel guilty because I'm out of my normal live stream routine, and I don't get to hang out with you fine people as I normally would. So what we're going to do tonight is I just want a vibe check. I've seen your emails. I've seen the comments under my videos. I have seen Twitter, and it's been a little rough. There's some Notre Dame angst in a time in the summer when I always say I don't want any news other than give me a list of guys that are visiting Notre Dame and you tell me somebody committed to Notre Dame. There's no other news I want to hear in the summer about this football team. Nothing. All right. So sure enough, middle of a 4th of July party, the phone's blowing up, the bad news about Scott and everything. And then the whole weekend snowballed and it's this big discussion. Here's the thing. There's a lot of ground to cover. And I'm realizing this. I see some calls already. I'm going to get to you. It's your dime, your dance floor, baby. I want to give you guys the time. Here's the deal, though. Here's what I've learned about the dynamic going on now in the discussions with the Notre Dame fans. It depends how much you want to zoom out. Your perspective on all the issues and the anxieties that Notre Dame fans have right now. It all depends on what lens you're looking at it from and how far you want to zoom out and look at what's going on. And so within that, there's a lot of people that are going to have really good points, but only if they apply it through one lens or this lens, but maybe it doesn't apply to that lens. I'm noticing some of that. It really does depend on how far out you're looking at things. Big picture, small picture, immediate or down the road. Things like this. I'll give you a range. Oh, Justin Scott's just one guy. You didn't get him. That happens a million times to Notre Dame. It's no big deal. Everybody's freaking out. That's one message I've gotten 100 of. All the way to the other side where there's people saying, John, how are we ever going to land another good guy again in the modern NIL pay-for-play era? Is Notre Dame dead and just joined the Ivy League? Like, that is how wide the range of Notre Dame opinions are. That big of a range from people that all love Notre Dame. And some of them are saying it's one guy. You didn't get it. Just keep it moving. And other people are saying we're never going to land another great player again. Like, Notre Dame fans can never get on the same page. It's a riot to me. It's a riot. All right. I got off the tracks. Let's get through the introduction here, and then we'll get into some of this, because now what's happened is, here's the other reason I don't like not doing my normal show schedule with the live calls. That's a chance for people to call me that disagree with me, whatever, want to fight with me, or disagree with one of my videos or one of my articles on USA Today, Fighting Irish Wire, whatever. I don't go live. They can't do that. I feel like I'm ripping you guys off. I need to give you a chance to say some things. And so I've gotten a lot of feedback on the last couple articles and videos I've done. And I want to clarify some of my points on some of the pushback that I've received, or clarify my messaging, some of my lens of why I'm saying what I'm saying and the thought behind it. And then we'll kind of go from there. But I'm just telling you guys, from my text messages, phone calls, emails, everything I've seen, social media, everything, Notre Dame fans have a lot of anxiety right now. And there is some big picture angst that we need to go over. So first things first, callers, I see you. I'm going to give you your time. I promise. That's what this is all about. Number one is YouTube. If you're here all the time and you haven't hit subscribe, I don't know what you're doing. You ain't living right. Hit subscribe. Thumbs up, that helps me as well. Notifications on, that way you know why. You're alerted every time a new episode drops. That way you're not going to miss anything. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish Rat, Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only, anywhere you want me, you can locate me. The call-in lines, 312-988-15. You call Johnny, tell me all you've heard and seen, even if it ain't pretty. It's still important to hear it. Even if it ain't pretty, it's still important to hear it, all right? This ain't Johnny Sunshine and Rainbows. You should all know that from the past 6 years. Even when it hurts, I try and give you the real. It just might hurt real bad. It just might hurt real bad. And I see a lot of chats that bring up good points. Some of them I agree with. Some of them I disagree with. But there's a lot of meat in this chat. You guys love Notre Dame. You think about Notre Dame. There are things that I don't have to agree with, but I could say, yeah, that's a good point. You could look at it that way, even if I don't agree with it. Fighting Irish Wire every day. Tune in, type it in your magic computer box. Information comes out, stories about Notre Dame from myself and our fabulous staff. Check it out. Here's the other thing. This Sunday, don't forget about it. Sam Hartman's first public Notre Dame NIL autograph signing. John, what's the deal with this? Where's it at? Who's sponsoring the event? Oh, I know. It's at Forever Young Sports Cards in Crown Point, sponsored by this guy. This guy's the sponsor of it, and it's going to be an upbeat event where we're all positive about Notre Dame. I'm going to make it so, all right? Go to foreveryoungsportscards.com for more ticketing information, all right? I want to see you all there. We're going to have a good group. I already know a bunch of you are going to be there. It's going to be a great time. All right. So here, Mikey Pohl says, who's bringing the wine and cheese to the event? I'm not, I can tell you that. But I am changing out the beer cooler for freeze pops for the kids. This is a family-friendly event. So I'm not going to have coolers of beer. We're going to have some freezy pops and fun stuff for the kids to do, all right? Always Irish, keeping it family-friendly on this one. Give me a break, folks. All right. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention, since we have a different crowd tonight, since it isn't the normal morning show and then the night Saturday show, I'm going to mention this. I've been mentioning this all summer. I'm going to mention it again. Make your plans already for two things once the season ends. Number one, Central Michigan tailgate. It's going to be a big blowout. We have a lot of people going, and it's going to be a ton of fun. So anybody that's bringing your family to Central Michigan, make sure you holler at your boy. It's going to be a great time. Everybody's invited. I don't even care if you hate me. Come by and say hello. I'll still give you a beer. All right, that's number one. Number two is, don't forget, after every Notre Dame game, other than the ones I'm physically at, 1 minute after the last whistle goes up and the buzzer beater goes up, whatever you want to say, triple zeros, the clock hits zero, whatever. When the game ends, 1 minute later, we're going live. After every game, I'm taking your calls. So people are never going to be more hot, whether it's good, bad, mad, sad, or glad, than 1 minute after the game. I'm ripping open the phone lines and everybody dial me up. I want to hear whatever it is. It's never going to have more interest than right after that game when everybody's either really happy or really miserable. I want to be a part of that mix for you and provide you guys an outlet. I don't believe there's any post-game Notre Dame show anymore that takes calls. I don't know of one. In Chicago, they used to have Chet Kopic on the ESPN 1000 when I was in my 20s, and I used to call up and yell about stuff live on the Chicago airwaves. I don't even think they do that anymore for the postgame show. There is nowhere else for you guys to have a voice right after a game. We're doing it here. Okay? You deserve that. I'm providing it, damn it. I am. 815, I do owe you on that. If you want to call in, I do owe you. I definitely owe you. Call in. Go ahead, man. I do owe you that. There it is. I got you. You'll be the first one up. I do owe you that. All right. So let's get into this. I got a couple things I want to go over to clarify my stances on things, and then we'll get through a couple chats, open it up to the calls. I feel an obligation to get out the things on my notes first before I open up the phones. I know that may be frustrating for some people, but if I don't do it now, then we get down the line and then an hour and we're talking about different things and then I don't get any of my points out. So if I don't do it now, it ain't going to happen. Give me a break, all right? So again, I've seen Twitter. I've seen the emails. I've seen the comments. You guys are a little frustrated, worked up, it seems. So am I if you watch my last couple videos. I want to know what's up from you, all right? Big picture, small picture, recruiting, Freeman, whatever it is, the marquee three. I want to know what you think about all of that. All of that, okay? So here's the thing I want to address. A couple things up front. I'll try to make it quick so I can give you guys your time, okay? Here's number one. To the people saying Scott is one dude, everybody freaking out, being mad about this needs to just relax. It was just one guy. We don't get one guy a lot of times. Everybody needs to just chill out. It's not that big of a deal. And I've even seen some in the Notre Dame media questioning his motor, his drive to be great. Does he have that willingness as a basketball player? That was his first love, all this stuff. Like, I've seen all of those comments. You're all missing the point. You're all missing the point. It is not that much about Justin Scott specifically. The point is, this situation highlighted Notre Dame does not even have an inside track on Chicago Catholic League's best players. That is a perceptual problem. That is a much larger scale problem than just not getting this one guy and it didn't work out. The reality is there are three major Midwestern, Northern football powers, pretty much, in the Midwest. Northern power football team. Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame. The fact that Notre Dame was third out of those three choices for this guy who has everything Notre Dame should want, all of the grades, right down the road in Chicago, playing in Johnny Boy's old Catholic, Chicago Catholic League. I know his high school well. Played a lot of my games there. The issue is largely perceptual. Yes, this is just one guy you didn't get. But it's a reminder of Notre Dame's current stature in the college football recruiting landscape. That you finished dead last of all the teams that should have the advantage of being close to home, which was a noted priority for him in the beginning. Notre Dame was third out of 3. I'm talking, Andrew, I'm talking about of the northern Midwestern teams. I'm trying to separate out being down south. I'm saying of the northern big 3, you were third out of 3, and you should have had every advantage. If the Chicago Catholic League is not a direct conduit down the toll road to Notre Dame, it's a signal to you, you got issues. You got issues. That is largely a perceptual issue. All right? People don't like that. I don't like it. I asked the question on Twitter. If Notre Dame can't even front run for guys that are in a feeder school system right to Notre Dame down the road, that sends a bad signal about your stature in the game and how people perceive you. Okay? Here's part 2 of that. It isn't just Justin Scott. There's a long list of guys that are in that profile, and we convince ourselves we have a chance, and they flirt with us, and then we don't get them. Nobody can act like this is like a one-off. And it's like, John, how could you be mad about this one? We get all the other ones. Like, no, this is not a new complaint. People need to stop acting like all the negativity is a reaction to this one guy. The frustration you see is the totality of frustration over like 20 years of this dynamic. It isn't just this one guy. See the big picture. Now, the modern extension of that is everybody, including me, kind of hoped things might be different with Marcus Freeman. That was my big hope. And it wasn't just to do with him. I took the hiring of Marcus Freeman with no experience as an indicator Notre Dame truly was willing to get modern in a lot of areas. Take some risks. Be bold. Put yourselves out there. I took that hiring as a sign they were going to get modern in a bunch of different areas. Help this young coach along in a modern way of doing things and all that. And that hasn't happened. It just hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. You drop Marcus Freeman in there and it's like, good luck. I did not get a lot of that extra oomph that I thought I was going to get. Like you could drop Freeman in there, but you got to advance some other things too to pair with him to put the guy in a good spot. And I don't think that happened, and that's frustrating as well. That's frustrating as well. And I see some of those chats. We're going to get to it. Callers, I got you. I didn't forget about you. Give me a minute. Okay, so that's the first big point I need to make is don't kid yourself that this was about one guy. This is about the totality of frustration overall in a lot of different ways. And I don't care what anybody says. The fact that it's a guy from the Chicago Catholic League that matters a lot to me. Maybe it's just because that's where I grew up playing sports in that league that it means more to me. But I remember as a grade school kid going to those games, and Lou and Lou's assistants were out there recruiting these guys. It used to be a feeder program. Notre Dame had the inside track. And if we didn't want them, then they go to Purdue. Then they go to Wisconsin. Then they go to Illinois. Then they go to Michigan State. Whatever. We used to have the inside track on all that talent. So everybody needs to understand that part of it. This is not about one guy. This is a totality of frustrations. Okay? Now, here's the next part. I can say both of the following statements at the exact same time and mean them both. Number one, it's never been harder to recruit elitely to Notre Dame than in this moment. Not everybody's playing by the same rules. I am not saying that in response to the Justin Scott situation. I'm saying in general. I'm not throwing those accusations out at Ohio. I'm not doing that. I'm saying, generally speaking, we know not everybody's playing by the same rules, how this stuff goes. So I'm going to say both of these. One is, it's never been harder to recruit elitely at Notre Dame than it is now for all of these reasons. And number two, it's Marcus Freeman's job to figure it out somehow. And that is really, really tough. That's where you start getting behind the scenes. That's where you start asking what else is going on. Is Freeman being limited by his own administration? Are Al Golden and Al Washington pulling their weight on the recruiting trail? Like, there's a lot of stuff going on here I don't have the answers to and the access to the information to know. But I could say both of those. It's never been harder to recruit to Notre Dame than it is right now, but it's also Freeman's job to figure it out. And I'm going to be honest with you. This class is sitting at 6th right now and 247 and all that. That's fine, but it ain't going to stay there looking at what's left on the board. That's the issue. If it stays at 6 and we're here on signing day and it's the 6th class, I'm not going to complain. But I wasn't born yesterday. If it's 6 now, then you can add about 10 spots a drop in. So you figure if you're 6 now, bank on about 16 in the end, right? Oh, man. What does my dad say? Always Irish Senior. Good to have you here, sir. What's up, all you crazy Indy fans? Without a real NIL program and really working with transfers, Freeman's hands are tied. He could coach his ass off, but without a few of the monsters on the field, forget about it. And the issue is, anybody that wants to argue against this point that Always Irish and Always Irish Senior are making, let me push back. When is the last time Notre Dame won a championship and who was on the team? Exceptions to the academics, like, I don't know, you ever heard of a guy named Chris Zorich? You ever heard of a guy named Tony Rice, the last quarterback to win a championship at Notre Dame? That guy wasn't going to get into Notre Dame if it wasn't for that special government program. So you can't really argue. The last time Notre Dame won anything, they had more flexibility to get guys in there that were mean, okay? Mean guys. And they won. So whatever. It's just rough. All right, what do we got? We got a bunch of calls, so let me wrap up my stuff and give you guys your time. I'm almost done, I promise. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Marcus Freeman's effort, I will never question on the recruiting trail. The efforts, I can't question it. Where it is being directed, I need him to adjust apparently to pick up the slack. And the other thing I'm going to it, listen, Al Washington, Al Golden, this might have to be their last year. Sorry. If you're not recruiting elitely, you're out of here, bro. I have no patience for that, and Freeman shouldn't either. He said when he got the job, everybody needed to be an elite recruiter, and this isn't the spot for you. Maybe that's in play here. Maybe those guys just aren't carrying their weight. I don't know. Here's the other thing I got to address. I always hear, well, we're not going to have an elite class, whatever. You know what we need to do? We just need to develop our guys. Get some good, grindy, hardworking guys in there and develop them. The old RKG route. Where have you heard that before? Go the RKG, which is code for not elite guys, but you're selling as good fits. In a few years, they'll see the field or whatever. Here's the problem with that developmental plan. The problem with the people that say, oh, you're fine, get what you can get and just develop them and coach your guys up. Let me ask you a question. Do you think we're the only ones that coach our guys up or develop guys? Are we the only ones? Because in theory, if everybody's developing their guys and has reasonably decent coaches doing so, the team that has more 4 and 5-star guys that are then developing them is still going to be ahead of a team with some 4 stars and 3-star guys developing them. If they all develop, the guys that started with more talent are just going to get better. So I don't understand that, because when people say you just need to develop your way into it and all that, as if the teams that have the top talent aren't developing their guys too, and they're starting with more of them that are better than yours. So if they all develop, the team with the better talent's going to still be better. So unless you want to sell me Notre Dame's developmental track and those coaches are so much better than everybody else's, and the evidence of putting guys in the league isn't there to support that against the teams we need to beat to get over the hump, unless you want to say that, spare that, bro. Spare that. No fan of an elite team says we're just going to have to get our guys and in a few years build them up and then develop them, and then they'll see the field in a few years. No elite team ever says that. That is loser talk. That is loser talk. You only hear from teams who have fans who know they don't have enough talent to be elite and they need to find excuses to make themselves feel better. That's it. That's the answer. You know what else is like that? It's like, well, recruiting stars aren't everything. How come no fan of a team that's in the top 5 in recruiting every year says that? Have you noticed that? It's very interesting to me that no fan of a team who's in the top 5 ever says, even though our team's in the top 5, it don't matter. You ever notice you only hear that from fans of teams that don't recruit elitely? Again, cope. It's major coping and hoping. Coping, hoping, and you're doping if you think you're going to get over the hump that way. Talent wins. Sorry, talent wins. We could do the whole experiment where we go over recent champions who didn't have elite recruiting or whatever. In the last dozen years, there's only a few of those teams that didn't recruit at a top 5 level multiple years leading into their title. And all those outliers did have one thing: the best quarterback in the country. So you either need to stack elite classes and or have the best quarterback to balance that out, because it's the most important position. Okay? Sorry. And the other thing is, here's the tricky part. I'm getting there. I'm almost done with my little tirade, I promise. Winning is the best cure. And Domer Guy, I'm going to address some of your stuff. You had good questions in the beginning of the chat. I'm going to address it. Winning is the best cure for everything, for sure. You have 3 marquee games against 3 potential major conference winners. And if you go 3-0, nobody can recruit against you on the big game losses thing. You'll be able to balance some of that out. Maybe change some minds. But the issue is, it's so easy to say, well, all you got to do is win all your biggest games against the best teams, and then the elite talent will come to you. But what does it take to win those games? Talent. You're getting into a chicken and the egg dynamic where you're saying we need to beat the best teams we play that have the best talent for us to get the best talent. But without the best talent, how are you going to beat those teams? It's hard. It can be done, but it's very, very hard. It bothers me how casually people will say, well, all you got to do is just take the guys we have and beat all the best teams we play, and then the recruits will come. Yeah, it's a lot easier said than done. That's where Notre Dame's been the last bunch of years with Kelly, right in the damn middle. No man's land. Not beating the elite of the elite teams on the biggest stage to draw the recruits in, but also not recruiting well enough on the front end to get them all in-house. Then you put it together. Then you beat the best teams. You're dead in the middle, bro. You can't exist in that middle. You're treading water. You got to get one or the other. But I laugh when people go, well, the easiest way to solve this is to just go 12-0. Well, no shit. Duh. Obviously, winning is the easiest solution. It takes great guys to beat these three marquee teams on the schedule. It's a chicken and the egg. So, yeah, it could be done. It'd be a magnificent feat to go 3 for 3 against the marquee three and change all these dynamics. But how are you going to get there? Coach them up. You can only coach up so much. At some point, talent's going to win the day most of the time. I'm sweating already. Jeez. Here's the final thing I'm going to say, and then we'll open it up to the comments and the chats. I've gotten a bunch of messages here. There's a bunch of you. Not a bunch. There's a handful, and I suspect it's the same handful. I've gotten a bunch of emails making fun of me for liking Freeman. He's a dead coach walking. This was a mistake. The program just got sent back 5 years. All this ripping on Freeman. And I told you that this wasn't going to work and he wasn't going to be elite and all this. And, this proves that I'm right. There's a lot of that. This proves that I'm right, John. Listen, here's the thing I'm going to tell you. You do not get extra credit for picking the side that says it's likely Notre Dame will not be elite. You are not some savant. You're not Notre Dameist looking at the future. Isn't that that guy's name? You ain't Notre Dameist looking in a glowing ball. And you think you're a genius for picking the side that said that whoever the next Notre Dame coach is, they probably wouldn't be elite. Like, you're picking what everybody else is picking. That's the easy path. The easy path is to say Notre Dame's not going to win anything. It doesn't mean that you went against the grain. The easiest prediction in the world based on the last 30 years is to say Notre Dame's not going to be elite. That's easy. It's ballsy to look at the other side of it. So I'm not giving you extra credit. The nation's default is Notre Dame not being elite. You don't get extra credit for picking it. Okay? All right. I'm going to go through a couple chats, and then I'm going to the calls, and then you guys can do your thing, and I'll give you all your time. I just needed to get out what I needed to get out. This stuff's getting to me. First things first, the pay and ask customer. Dr. John 666. What is he trying to haunt me? Isn't that like some devil stuff? 666. Evening, John. Off to share a libation with family and friends. Catch on the back end. Have questions, issues with your all-in video. Talk next week. We'll email first. Dr. John, he's going to push back on me for pushing on the administration. I'm here for it, and I love you, Dr. John. Rodney with the $2 holler. I appreciate it. Really do. $20 holler. Rodney, I'll see you in a few days. $20 holler from Jacob Brown. Nothing changes until Notre Dame changes. Guess what? Notre Dame doesn't like change. Jacob, you're right. Not much to add to that. Good call. Wicked Bronco, $2 holler in the 815. My original area code. I got you, bro. You're going to be the first one up. I had to hang up on you last time. I had a sump pump problem in my basement on the live show. It's always something. I had that snake down there. Now I got a overflowing water. Come on. Craig, good to see you. I'll see Craig in a few days. Good evening, Captain Calm. Yeah, you know me. That's my nickname. Joey Chestnut's a true champion and an ND fan. Remember when he came to the Cincinnati game in 21? Yeah, a lot of good luck. A lot of good luck, I guess. That is a man good at eating wiener. I'm going to tell you that right now, and a lot of them. Congratulations to him on his 16th World Championship, I guess. Hilarious. If somebody's real creative, they'll cut up what I just said and run with it. If you cut it at the right time, it's going to be pretty funny. All right, let's go through a couple chats, then to the calls. Domer Guy 88, regular. John, you talk about the administration needing to change. Can you please elaborate on the changes you think need to happen in order to keep up with the Joneses? Is it as simple as adding pay for play? Notre Dame's never going to be able to keep up with the Joneses with a lot of the money stuff, because even if Notre Dame got more willing to do some of that, it isn't going to be what's going on now. You guys want to know what the new stuff is? Who said this? I believe it was Mike Frank, who's been doing recruiting for Notre Dame 25 years. I think he's been doing this. He was saying now the move is these families and entourages and agents are charging a fee for unofficial visits, not official visits. Unofficials, they are saying, if you do not pay all of our entourages travel and expenses and entertainment, we're not even coming there on an unofficial visit. What that also leads to is, by the way, if our kid goes there, what is our travel budget as a family? Because if we don't live here and you want our kid to come here, I want him to get money, but you're paying for us, the family, too. So they want to be paid for unofficial visit, travel expenses, meals, entertainment, flight, all of that. And they also want to make sure if the kid goes there, he's getting fat money and NIL. But they also expect you to pay for the family to travel and lodge and eat and drink and do all that for every home game the whole time the kid's in school. That's the new thing going on. Is that legal? No, it's not legal. But other schools are doing it. So then they say, the agent or whatever, Notre Dame will say, we're not okay with that. That's against the rules. And then they'll say, yeah, but these 5 schools did it. So if you're not doing it, we're not coming there. And it's over. That's already happening. That's how far this has gone. So I don't know how you reel that back in. I don't want Notre Dame to go that far. Notre Dame should not have to go that far. Notre Dame should not have to do that. But it's borderline extortion what's going on now. You either get in that game, break your values, do all that behind the scenes, or you don't even have a shot to get in the ring. But that's the kind of stuff that's going on. And Notre Dame's never going to go that far, and I don't want them to. Where does that leave us? I don't freaking know. I don't know. But let me answer this question. I got 6 answers. I'm going to make it quick. I can do these 6 in a minute. You're asking, can you elaborate on the changes that need to happen? I'll give you 6 right off the top of my head. Just a little bit more leeway with undergrad recruiting grades and test scores. Not a lot. Settle down in the chat. Oh, John, you just want us to be like every other football factory with no value. Shut the hell up. That ain't it. There is a huge gap between Notre Dame's requirements now and the line. You could say it's tarnishing the brand, tarnishing the degree. We're nowhere close to it. Quit clutching your pearls. Get off your high horse. just a little bit more flexibility in undergraduate grades and test scores to cast a bigger damn net. I'm not asking for the world. I'm not asking for guys that can't read. Just give me a little more damn leeway. Number one. Number two, you need to create a reasonable path for undergraduate transfers to get into Notre Dame. You need to do that. You need to create a track where they can make up credits in the summer or whatever to get caught up if that's the discrepancy. Notre Dame must create a path and a track to be able to accept more undergraduate transfers. Again, you could do that without tarnishing the dome and making it turd brown instead of gold like the helmets during the Weiss era. Give me a break. Get off your high horse. That's number two. Number three, a loud and proud NIL program. Right now, Notre Dame does have some decent stuff going on, but you'll never hear about it because they think it's holier than thou, and they know they kind of have to do it, but they don't want the public to know because deep down, these people think it's below Notre Dame to let these guys make money. That's a part of their mentality, and I know it. Okay? So get a loud and proud NIL program. I'm not asking for pay for play. Have a loud and proud NIL program. Branch out of stupid South Bend. I'm sick of hearing our guys got a deal at a mom and pop rib shop in South Bend, a car wash in South Bend, whatever. You are thinking so small, it makes me sick. Think bigger, Notre Dame. Get into Indianapolis, get into Chicago, and get worldwide brand deals for our guys. There is no reason I should not be driving on the road in Chicago and see an advertisement for CJ Carr. Think bigger, Notre Dame. Not a local Waffle House in South Bend. Think bigger with NIL, loud and proud. Notre Dame should be embarrassed for how little they're leveraging the network of money, of alums and donors and people that would love to help with this. They're not leveraging those things right by choice. And it ain't okay. It ain't okay. That's number three. Here's number four. Whatever the next clothing deal is, it's going to be Under Armour again. How creative. Wow, there's a new freaking idea. Wow, really getting modern there, going with a failing apparel brand. Awesome idea. Apparently, they're making the biggest offer. Why? They need Notre Dame more than Nike. They need Notre Dame more than Jordan. That's why they're making a bigger offer. They need them more. The brand's falling apart. Look at the stock price over the last few years. That, by the way, a big part out Notre Dame got paid from Under Armour in the last deal was stocks that dropped 80% in value. So now you're going to accept this deal because they're offering the most money, but overall worldwide, they're a failing freaking brand. Follow me here. I'm not on the Notre Dame Board of Regents. I'm not sitting up there. Listen to this idea. However many millions of dollars that last deal was in stock options, you tell them that's NIL money from now on. We don't want your worthless stock. You're going to put millions aside each year instead of those stock options just for Notre Dame NIL. How about this? Oh, John, what do you mean? How could that work? How about you have Notre Dame's best players wearing Under Armour shit in a commercial? Is that earth-shattering? Is that an idea nobody had to come up with? Do I got to be a Notre Dame triple graduate to come up with this? Stupid. Notre Dame doesn't do the easy stuff that's right in front of them. That's gotta be in the contract and public. If they announce Under Armour, I want a part of the deal to tell me how much money and how much is going for NIL appropriation each year. I don't want your shit stock. I want NIL so we can get serious and have them pay for it. Put me in there. Let me negotiate it. This is basic business. These people are supposed to be smart. This is basic stuff. Number 5, listen to your coaches when they tell you they have reasonable needs. You know, I give Kelly a lot of crap. I'll back him up on that one. When your coaches have reasonable needs and requests, work with them. Kelly's been complaining about facilities forever. Work with them when they have reasonable requests. Don't make them feel that you're working against them. Jesus. One part of that is facilities. The other part of it is when your young head coach you want to empower says to you, I found the OC I want and a couple of his guys, and it might cost $3 million. Any real program serious about being elite, serious about supporting their young, energetic coach that you should want to support all you can, they'd go $3 million. No big deal. I thought it'd be more. Here you go. Freeman couldn't get that done. They hung him out to dry. All right? Freeman wanted the guy. The admin said, hit Ludwig and his assistant's buyout. Too much for us. Too rich for us. You can't do it. That's the story. That's what happened. Okay? So back off when you tell me, oh, John, how do you know they don't support him? They hung him out to dry on that issue. There's 5 right there. A little more flex with grades, undergraduate transfer path, loud and proud instead of a shamed NIL path. Leverage the next clothier deal for NIL. If that's not a part of this deal, I'm going to go nuts. It is the most basic, obvious thing in the world to build that in. So if it isn't mentioned in the details, I'm going off. Somebody's dropping the ball at Notre Dame. They're not seeing the right picture. Oh, where's Notre Dame going to come up with this NIL money? You don't even have to. Make Under Armour pay it. Are you out of your mind? Instead of all those millions in stocks making an NIL thing, then none of the money's coming from Notre Dame. You don't have to pay it. You're not even supposed to pay it anyways. Let them do it. Let them do it. So there's some of my ideas. Now I'm sweating. Sorry. And then Domer guy says, is it all money issues? Notre Dame has all the money they need to be competitive elitely in football. It's mentality. It isn't money or we don't have it or where are we going to find it? How are we going to get it? Notre Dame has the money. The issue is the mentality of those in charge that do not understand how important football is to that institution, or at least used to freaking be. Okay? It isn't money, it's attitude. The money is available or could easily be raised or found easily. It is the lack of willingness to let it happen. That is the biggest governor on the program right now. If everybody would back the hell off and let Freeman cook for a little bit, we'd all end up in a better spot. I don't know why I'm sweating this much. A lot more than on a morning show. And the other thing is, people are saying, John, even if Notre Dame did NIL, if you're not doing pay for play right away on the front end, you're not going to get them anyways. Listen, the more you can offer, the more competitive you are. Like that might be true, but it's not a reason to quit trying. The more you can do, the more chance you have. So that's not a reason to just screw the whole thing and whatever. The more you can do, the more competitive you could be to be in that mix. So this is all just a really rough dynamic. It's a rough dynamic, but it's hard when I feel like one of the biggest problems of Notre Dame not being elite of the elite of the elite is Notre Dame. That's very, very frustrating. It's just frustrating that our own governors on our own program are one of our biggest hurdles. And I don't know that many coaches at big time schools that face those battles. And you know who was right about that? Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly. That's some of the stuff Brian Kelly was complaining about. Now, that doesn't mean it's okay to not try, which is what he started doing. Like, I can agree with this point here and still say you were the coach. You had an obligation to get on that jet and go recruit and not golf. So I can agree with Kelly and still rip him for the lack of effort. It didn't help any, right? But I think I get what he's saying. But that doesn't mean it's okay to leave the jet in a hangar and go play an extra 9. You still got to get out there. All right. Couple more chats, then we're going to the calls. Somebody else has got to talk for a while. I'm getting all worked up. All worked up. John has all the answers, but never the solution. It's mostly excuses and blame Kelly themes. Yes, I will blame Kelly till the day I stroke out and die on the air for not recruiting. Yes, I will. Am I going to rip Kelly for wanting better resources and facilities? No. I will. I'll rip him for treating everybody like crap, being difficult to work with, and for not trying in recruiting. Not trying is unforgivable. As for John has the answers, but not the solution, I just gave you 6 of them, 5 of them. If they listen to my 5 things, we'd be in a better spot. Like, it's worth a shot. Listen, I'm not saying I know everything. I'm saying I take in the information I see, add it to the 30 years of experience I have loving Notre Dame and covering it every day, and I come up with these conclusions. I got the answers, but not the solution. Aren't those the same thing? I gave you the answers. The solution would be is if they let me do some of this. There's the solution. Let John work these 5 bullet points, see where we're at in a couple years. Let me try that. And then we'll see where we're at. Do it my way. Notre Dame's so reactionary. It's unbelievable. You know, there's some new way to do science, and I'm sure Notre Dame's all over it over at Science Building. Well, hey, let me get my microscope, whatever that thing is where you spin it with the glass and the plate. Oh, let me look at this chromoplasty or whatever it is in this plant. I guarantee you, some new science thing comes out. They got it the next day. 15 years. We can't get a football building built. Oh, okay. Awesome. Now I know why I do morning shows. I'm too loose in the evening. Not a good idea, I don't think. Oh, Nick Dean, good to see you. Good to see you. C. Jones. The Scott recruitment was a huge disappointment. Should send a red flag up the pole. The Irish weren't even close on a kid from Chicago. Awful. Yep. Not just Chicago. The Chicago Catholic League. Don't forget that part. The Chicago Catholic League. If that isn't a direct pipeline feeder down the toll road to Notre Dame, you're messing up. Somebody ain't doing good enough. That's got to be, you have the inside track, and it's a feeder program. The academics line up, it's all perfect. Especially when a guy says, I wouldn't mind staying close to home. If a guy says, I don't like the cold weather in Chicago, I want to go somewhere else. different discussion. This guy said he wouldn't mind staying home. There were 3 programs in the mix. You were third of the 3. That is a red flag. Problem. You got problems. Not okay. You got issues. Oh, boy. C. Jones, wouldn't it be nice if ND takes down Ohio State to turn some ed recruits? Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Do it 3 times. You got 3 of these marquee games, change people's minds. That's about all you could do anymore. It's about all you could do anymore. Oh, what else do we got? Ooh, these call lines are eating up, baby. They're eating up. Let's see what else we got on the chats. Sid Irish. Well, give Freeman what he needs. You guys got to realize the dynamic at all of these other elite football places. Either the head football coach or the AD pull all the strings on football. They go to the administration, say, here's what we need to get done. They come up with the money and they get it done. Those guys are the decision makers. That does not exist here. It's just a different way they do things. Been like that forever. Oh, boy. Was Zorich or Rice a 5-star? I don't think so. They're getting great players and ambassadors for Notre Dame. They may have not been 5 stars. Neither one of them would have been able to get into school with more laid-back academics than we have now, though. That's the other issue. If they weren't 5-star guys, fine. But the main point of that is neither one of them would get in now. That's the main point, and they won a championship. Oh, let's see what we got. Oh, we got some donations. Let's see what's up down here. Oh, we did the captain call. I got more. All right, let's get to the calls. I'll get to these. 815, you're first up since you paid last time and I couldn't get to you.
Man.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going, man?
It's going very well. Listen, sorry I didn't get to you on the Friday night call-in. What's going on, man? What do you make of everything going on?
No, hey, man, pretty upset about the Scott stuff, but I'm not going to let it ruin my day. It ruined my day for when I first got the news, and then I kind of had to, go to my happy place. I had to think about, we got CJ Carr, we got Cam Williams. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm hoping we get Gerby Lambert. Sounds like it's Notre Dame and Harvard for him, which is kind of odd to say for a top recruit. But
that is very odd. That sounds weird to even just say it that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about a top 4, it's Notre Dame, Ohio State, Boston College, and Harvard.
Jeez, man. Hey,
I've never heard that before.
You think we're mad now? Imagine if we lose a guy we wanted to Harvard football. You think this is a bad discussion? At least we lost Scott to Ohio freaking State, the Ohio State. Imagine if you lose a guy you want to freaking Harvard.
Hey, man, he wants to go get that degree, right?
I mean, I guess if he wants to stay home and stay out in that area, I get it. But you know that's going to come off bad. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
So, wait, all right. So
people will be clowning us all over Twitter.
Do you think that everybody's just exaggerating and needs to calm down and relax? Like I keep saying, it isn't about Justin Scott. It's not about this one guy. It's just kind of the totality of the last 50 of these guys we don't get. And you add in the extra frustration of the Chicago Catholic League part and the idea that we had all hoped Freeman would be here and recruiting would be elite and popping and it wouldn't be so hard to get these guys. It's all of that stuff snowballing. It isn't just this one guy. It's the dynamic.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And for me, like, I'm a younger Notre Dame fan, so I I mean, obviously I'm a 2000 kid, so I only know what happened. Well, I started following recruiting in 2014. So I only really know since then. So I don't know half of it, but especially,
Jesus.
me being a Chicago kid, I played for BBCHS and I played against the top talent from the Homewood Flossmoors, the Lincoln Way East of the world. Guys that were number 1, number 2, number 3, all the way down to number 10, best players in the state of Illinois. And a lot of those kids, like, because we have conversations like before the game, post game, like we all talk. We're all Illinois football players. Hey man, I'm a Notre Dame fan. Most of those kids are Notre Dame fans. But I think where that kind of gets a disconnect is you have kids back in the 80s and the 90s, and they got to see Notre Dame winning national title after national title after national title. They were the Bamas of the world, blowing people out, beating number 1 teams, beating number 2 teams like it was nothing. So now you've got it to where all kids know is they read these articles from the national media. So Notre Dame's overrated every year. Notre Dame can never win the big games. Notre Dame hasn't won a New Year's Six Bowl since the 1990s. Notre Dame's never going to be able to win a national. I saw that today. Notre Dame's never going to be able to win a national title again, and here's why. So all this stuff's, getting filled in these, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, and then they see the stuff on the field. And I definitely don't think, losing to Marshall or Stanford helped. But what I do think is Marcus Freeman, to me, I think he is a better recruiter than Brian Kelly. To me, that's obvious. The results, I think, aren't going to show until he proves that they can consistently win those big games. And like you said, you need the top talent.
That's the tough
part.
But
I think a lot of people also kind of, I think a lot of people get lost up in, well, he needs the top talent. But Freeman's been there for a year. And, you made that comment earlier in your show tonight. There's people there saying, I told you it wouldn't, blah, blah, blah. Do those people not realize that Marcus Freeman is coaching with Brian Kelly's kids?
Nobody wants to hear that anymore. They didn't even want to hear it. But wait, I'm dead serious. When I used to bring that up last year, his first year, a bunch of people came at me and said, you're making excuses. Freeman's your boy. You got a hard on for Kelly. We know you don't like him. Everybody told me, oh, you're making excuses. He's still trying to dig out of some roster holes from Kelly. But I do agree, year 2, you can't lean on blaming Kelly as much as you could year 1. And you got the benefit of a quarterback better than anything Kelly ever recruited in what you did when you got a Hartman.
And you know what? The thing is also with Marcus Freeman, the thing I like about him, Prince Colley was a 5-star recruit. Guess where he's playing right now? Vanderbilt. There's a reason he's playing at Vanderbilt right now. There's a reason that Tyler Buckner is not in a Notre Dame uniform anymore.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Drew Pine is in Arizona State right now. And what do all these recruits that left in the transfer portal have in common? They were recruited by BK.
Yeah.
Marcus Freeman evaluated them. They weren't good enough.
Yeah. And you know what else? And you know what else? I've said that, listen, some of that is going to happen. Whenever you have a coaching regime change, you're going to shed some guys that had a relationship with that guy and they love that guy or that guy loved them. You are always going to lose some guys and have some transient nature to your roster the next couple years into the new dynamic. I don't look at that as like crapping on Kelly or crapping on Freeman. Some of that is just common. That is going to happen. And I don't blame anybody for that. That shuffling is common in a regime change.
Yeah, and I agree. I think a lot of people get caught up on the first year stuff way too much. I have a lot of buddies that are Georgia fans. I will be honest with you. People don't know this now because Kirby Smart's won back-to-back national titles. But people forget Kirby Smart's first 2 years. Georgia fans actually didn't like him. Georgia fans did not think he was the right coach. They were sick of being that team that went 9-3 every year, 10-2, and got blown out in the SEC title.
Yeah.
They were kind of in the same spot that Notre Dame was. It'd been a long time since they won a national title. They hadn't really won anything of significance in a long time. the thing is, like, Notre Dame and me and Georgia, my guys talk all the time. The similarities between Notre Dame and Georgia as football programs seem very different now, but just a few years ago, it was kind of weird, the similarities they both had. And people forget, what did Kirby Smart do in his first year at Georgia? 9-4.
Yeah.
Guess what the next year? 10-2. So, and the thing is, like, people act like,
but the difference is, but there's a big difference. The difference is Georgia's administration is fully committed to football excellence. They are giving that guy whatever he needs, financially or otherwise. They are getting it done. That is the difference. So you can make those comparisons, and they were the last big football factory that hadn't won since in a longer time than we had. I think it was 82 or 84 the last time they did. But the issue is they are fully bought into football excellence, and they are sparing no expense. They are the number one team that spends the most money on recruiting every year. NIL is wild. The other stuff they have going on is wild. Like, that's the difference. They're fully committed to giving that guy the resources it takes to win.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I kind of hope the stuff I've read on Pete, was it Bevekwa, who's going to be the new AD?
Yeah.
Everything I've read from him, the interviews he's done, I think if I read correctly, he was the guy that got the deal done with NBC in the Big Ten. So, and there was a particular article about him that I read a couple weeks ago, and he had a statement that he's very pro, future of college football. He's very pro NIL. He's very pro. He's openly said, and one thing that he loves the idea of Notre Dame joining the Big Ten. So my thing is, like, I kind of wonder if this transition from Drax Warbrick to a guy who's a little younger, he's a businessman instead of, Jack Swarbrick, who's more kind of like an overseer type.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if this is the time where we see the transition of Notre Dame football from the Brian Kelly era, where everything was like run as a company and a business and very, kind of boring almost to an extent, to where we get into the actual Freeman era where things start to transition.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let me ask you this. Listen, I like this.
Oh, go ahead.
I like where you're headed. I mean, that's a whole different discussion with joining the Big Ten. But let me just ask you this part. Is it possible, or am I just hoping for a miracle here? Is it feasible that Bevekwa is younger and more modern than Jack? He could have a relationship with Freeman and a kind of be on a similar, younger, more modern wavelength with Freeman than Jack ever could be. Is it possible that this Bevekwa guy could actually be an advocate for Freeman and go to that board on Freeman's behalf, pushing more modern ways to do things in a way that Jack either wouldn't or couldn't, or wasn't realizing it needed to be? Like, I'm wondering if that is a way out of some of this and into modernity. Does that guy have the power to be able to advocate for Freeman and go in there and say, if you guys want to be serious about this, you can't just say it. We need to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Trust me and Marcus, we're not going to embarrass you, degrade the degree, degrade this, educate, none of that. We're going to still have good guys that work hard, but you need to let us do these 5 things. Do you think that's feasible, or do I live in Irish Candyland, Shamrock's dream world?
I do too. I mean, that's kind of the point you hit exactly the point I was trying to hit was Vekwa, younger guy, very, evolutionary type mindset, get with the time. He did an interview where he was asked about NIL and the future of college football. And he said how he looks at NIL is teams that don't get with the program in terms of evolving with the world of NIL. They're going to be the teams that end up it was like a kind of a, what do you call it? He's like, those teams will be the ones that are stuck on the side of the street selling mixtapes, while the other teams that are, evolving will be the ones selling triple platinum records. That's kind of the way he put it. And that's where I'm like, if this guy can come to Notre Dame, do what you said, younger guy, understands what it takes to win now in the world of college football that we live in. And I'm not saying, like you had said, pay for play, because I think that's kind of not a dirty way to play, but I think once you start getting into that, that's when, because God, this is the first time Notre Dame does something like that. That's when the NCAA will decide to step in.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
I think and this is the thing I've been talking about on message boards and everywhere, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. I think a key thing with NIL is that Notre Dame can reach out, get those reconnections with former alumni like the Brady Quinns, the Jimmy Clausens.
Bro, this is a conversation.
The Manti Te'os.
This is a conversation I had 3 damn summers ago. 3 summers ago when the court ruling came out that said it was legal to do NIL, I came into this basement and the next day said Notre Dame needs to be put together a plan right now with all of their alumni, all the people that donate, all the people that sit on the C-level suites of these businesses. Build this out. Build that alumni network. You'll have money coming out your ears. You won't even know what to freaking do with it. 3 damn years ago, I told them this was the path. Here I'm sitting and I don't see it yet.
Yeah, I don't either, man. And I got to get off here real soon, but this will be my final point. In terms of the Justin Scott stuff, but it's not just Justin Scott, but it's kids nowadays. A new thing with NIL that goes hand in hand with that is the former athletes. Guys that not only played for the college school that is recruiting you, but guys like a Justin Tuck, for instance, who I think could be an NFL Hall of Famer. Guys like that, or guys like Stephon Tuitt, who had an all-pro career in the NFL, is retired now. If you could find some way to get those guys involved and to sit and have conversations with these 17, 16-year-old kids, say, hey, I understand these other schools had, offer you, but this is why I chose Notre Dame. This is what Notre Dame did for me. And look what type of money and career I had in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, there's two different things there.
So much more.
There's 2 different things there. Number one is Freeman is inviting those successful alums back to campus in a way Kelly didn't. If you weren't in Kelly's little umbrella, one of his pet projects, and you kissed his ass, he didn't want you back. Freeman's opening it back up. And that's why you've seen Tim Brown back on campus. These guys come back, get more involved. You got to be able to tie that into the NIL part. Like, those are 2 separate things now. You got to figure out a way to tie it together. The other thing is, maybe you turn that 4 for 40 message into a more modernized one that's more about dollars. These guys react to dollars. Instead of saying 4 for 40, start pulling out the actual ROI numbers and say, if you graduate from Notre Dame, here's how much you make your first year out of school and then in the middle of your career. And if you do go to the league, you're going to be rich anyways. And if you don't, you have, 74 grand your first year out of school average, 148 average after a handful of years, whatever. Make it something they understand money-wise rather than 4 for 40. I don't have all the answers. I'm damn good at pointing out the problems. I can tell you that.
And, like I said, I think once we get that Bafakwa era in, I really do think that it's going to take Notre Dame finally into the next era of college football. And I think Notre Dame will start to come around to these concepts. But
do you think
hey,
that
man, John,
does he have the power to do that? I hope he does, but I don't know if he has the power to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I from everything I'm reading, it sounds like he'll have the keys to the car, but we'll have to wait and see. But hey, man, it's always a pleasure talking to you, John. I appreciate you taking my call, man.
No problem. Thanks a lot, man.
Love your show, and
thanks for calling.
Keep it going, man.
Keep repping the 815, baby. Thank you. Have a good one.
I for sure will, man.
There you go. See ya.
You have a good one.
Later. Oh, man, I'm getting worked up tonight. 443, you're talking to me. What's going down?
What's going down? Okay, let me pitch something to you.
What do you got?
Let me pitch something to you.
All right.
Let me get my announcer voice ready. Sure. The Marcus Freeman deal now. Live at the Notre Dame bookstore and on the website. You can wear what Marcus Freeman wears out when visiting recruits and hanging out on campus.
What a crazy idea.
50%.
That's a wild idea, isn't it?
50%.
That you would actually make the coaches collection available for the loyal fans to buy? Is that where you're going? It's a wild idea. It's a wild idea.
I'm not finished. There's more. There's more. 50% of your purchase will go toward the NIL Collective. So your favorite Irish players will appear on Under Armour commercials all around the country and on billboards around the country. And Notre Dame can attract the 5-star recruits like Justin Scott, a guy who shouldn't have even been a thought in anybody else's radar, considering the school he attends.
That's interesting. Can you even, I wonder if you could even do that, where you could do where like half of the pay of whatever Under Armour stuff you buy goes to the collective. It goes to our guys. I don't even know if you can legally do that. I do like the idea of giving up those stock options and making it an NIL extension. I do like that. And the other thing is, like you said, I do have serious questions of why Marcus Freeman wears all this amazing stuff that none of us could buy. Like, what's Under Armour trying to do? He wears all this great stuff we all love, and nobody could buy it. What the hell's the point?
Like, I see Marcus Freeman wearing some pretty cool stuff. And then when I see him wear that stuff, I think there was one design. I want to say it was a green hoodie with a shamrock on it. I wanted to get that.
I want to get all the stuff that he wears. It's not available, and I don't understand it. I should be running these companies. If it's Under Armour and we're going with Under Armour again, you create a portion of their mailer or their online, and it's called the Freeman Factor Coaches Collection. And every week, every time it comes out, you have him wearing a nice, beautiful outfit, changing it in the locker room, putting on a great jacket or something. And you just call it the Coaches Collection. It's not that hard to do. It bothers me that I have better ideas than the people running these companies do.
Hey, if any Under Armour execs are listening, I'm right here in Baltimore. I'm right here. I don't have to move anywhere to work for Under Armour.
Is it true that Jack Swarbrick's son works for Under Armour? Do you know that? A lot of people are saying Swarbrick's son works for Under Armour, and I'm supposed to sit here and go, oh, I'm sure Notre Dame's playing it straight to take all these offers from these companies, but I'm told that his kid works for Under Armour, and you want me to believe this is all neutral ground? Really?
You mentioned Under Armour. Guess what? Under Armour owns the old Procter & Gamble campus. Guess who worked for Procter & Gamble on that campus before? My grandfather. Yeah.
Hello?
It was a factory.
Hello? That call dropped off. You can call back if you want. It went blank. Sorry about that. Robert said, yeah, I don't know what happened. I couldn't hear it. Sober crown guy again. It's time to relax a bit, John. I do not trust you. When you say you're sober crown guy, that makes me very, very nervous. That makes me very nervous. When you're telling me to calm down after the way you've called in here on the Saturday night show, you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh, I don't buy it. 937-219. I got you next. What's going on, 937?
Hey, John, it's your favorite Buckeye fan. How are you?
Hey, nobody wants to hear from you right now, tough guy.
I know.
Jerk. Jerk.
I have a couple. I have a couple of points. My first point is, John, everybody follows what you do, bud, when it comes to Notre Dame podcasting.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Well, let me say this. You announced, I think, early this morning or late last night that you were going to do a 9 p.m. show. Two other pretty popular shows also that normally do midday shows right after your show decided to do evening shows. So they must be following you. That's all I got to say.
Interesting. Good to know.
Yeah. My next point is with NIL. So, Ohio State, we got Justin Scott apparently out of nowhere. It seems like nobody knew what was going on without that.
Yeah.
I'll get to that in a second. But we were supposed to get another kid from the Chicago area, and because Miami didn't land Scott, they offered, I guess, this kid all of Scott's money. So they ended up last minute stealing a kid that was going to go to Ohio State and had been crystal balled there for like 4 months.
Well, hey, why don't you look into your crystal ball and tell me how juicy the deal was Ohio State came up with for him? I'm not saying it was anything illegal, but what did they? I'm not saying it's illegal and send the cops there. I'm just wondering, have you heard from your side what kind of deal they were able to offer?
So what I have heard is that hello, I'm walking out tonight. I'm sorry, I was on the phone. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Real quick. I would say that from what I'm hearing, it's not like anything more than like what Michigan offered or what any of the big schools offered. I think the parents really liked the idea of him staying north. And I think Scott, for whatever reason, he was in love with Notre Dame back in the wintertime. But I think when he went down to Miami, his eyes, I don't know what happened. But then he kind of felt, I think what ended up happening is that Ohio State was kind of like splitting the baby. He wasn't really, I don't think his parents really wanted him to go to Miami. But he went to, I think he liked kind of the Columbus atmosphere. I don't know what else to say. I don't think it was like an NIL deal of why he went to Ohio State versus other schools. Yeah. I think they were all pretty similar from what I understand.
Yeah. Now, can you understand why? Can you understand why this one hits me a little different when this profile of a guy should be tailor-made to be a pipeline to Notre Dame? Like, I'm not saying every good player in the Chicago Catholic League has to go to Notre Dame, but the fact that we finished like either third or fourth or fifth in this race, it's just kind of a red flag, man. Like Notre Dame used to have that pipeline locked down from Chicago to the Skyway to the toll road off into South Bend. And it's just kind of a bad look. You weren't even in it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think it's definitely it's kind of a red flag. If I was a Notre Dame fan, I would think of it as a red flag because now Marcus Freeman is going to be spending extra time trying to get recruits when he needs to be, honestly, I think his weakness is with X's and O's. And he needs to spend more time on that. And so we had Al Washington before you guys took him off our hands. I just want to thank you for that. Ohio State has always kind of not liked Al Washington. he started, he was always he was always a bridesmaid, never a bride, so to speak, when it came to recruiting.
Yeah.
We would always finish second with big guys that
Oh, now you're talking my language. No, this sounds real familiar to me. On the one of the last episodes, I said, do you know how many Super Bowls I could win with all the guys we finished second for in my life? All of them.
Right. Yeah, I know. So yeah, but I think it's at to the point now, kind of the newness of Marcus Freeman is worn off. You got to win the big games, and it's going to be hard. And I know a lot of people think Ohio State's going to be a pushover. Phil Steele, compared to prior years, but Phil Steele has the Buckeyes as the number 2 running backs room and the number 1 receiving room. So our offensive line might be shaky, but shaky in terms of compared to last year where they had a first rounder and another guy that went in the 4th round. So, I mean, yeah, I guess shaky compared to that, but they're going to be tough. And Marcus is going to have to come up with a great game plan. And I think that's one thing I got to hand it to Brian Kelly. The guys are really good X's and O's guy, at least, I don't know. In my opinion, he's a good X's and O's guy. He kind of got the most out of his players, I kind of felt like. But, man, to compete at the next level, another point I want to say, I got 2 other points about recruiting, is that I listen to all these other Irish podcasts, and I think I told you this before, I think you are the best as far as getting the kind of the general sentiment. Some of these guys are in the forest and they see the trees, but they don't see the forest. And I think you do a great job of, seeing the forest versus the trees. And kind of the sign of this is, like, they talk about how Marcus Freeman is, even though he's not getting these big guys, he's still out recruiting Brian Kelly, which is true, I guess. But my question is this, and nobody's ever brought this up in any Notre Dame show that I've heard. The top guys right now at recruiting are way higher than they ever used to be. If you look at like the blue chip ratio, like back in the day, like your top guy, if you had a 70% blue chip ratio, you were like, that was like the gold standard was like 70% blue chip. Now Alabama has an 88% blue chip this year. Ohio State's like 79 or something like that. Georgia's over 70. All these teams have these unbelievable blue chip ratios. Their points. So like, even though Notre Dame's slightly doing better, all these other teams are also slightly doing better that were in front of them already.
Yeah, that's the issue. You can't close the gap, even just because you're doing a little better. If the teams you're up against were already better and they're doing a little better, you got better, but you're still the same amount behind, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and do you get, man, the problem I have is people are going, well, the easy way for Notre Dame to solve this is you got to win the big 3 games and you got to win your big games and all that. And then the talent will come to you. Right. But the problem is you need great players to win those games, especially more than one of them, especially more than 2 of them. The 3 of them we need to win. Like, that's the chicken and the egg, man. You need good players to beat those best teams, and you need to beat the best teams with the best players. I'm going to lose my mind in this basement.
Right. One other thought, and I'm not sure if this would go with Notre Dame or not, but I'm thinking about like a team like Nebraska right now. They were great back in the 90s, and they had all that great. They had a great run, really, back then. They were good when Notre Dame was good. And they ran a triple option. And I just wonder, or an option football. I just wonder if you get a niche, if you get really good at a niche, you might be able to win the whole thing. I mean, high school teams do that all the time. These option teams, sometimes they're really damn good. And, I know the college has kind of changed in this and that, but if you're doing
what we're going to do. No, that's what we're going to do. No, I know what we're going to do. Listen to what I'm going to do, caller. Oh, Mr. Ohio State. I'm going to call you Mr. Bucknut Jr. Here's what I'm going to do, buddy. after you bring this up, I'm going to fly my happy ass to Ireland, set up some spy cameras, and record all the Navy's triple option practices so that I can figure out all their tricks. That's what we're going to do.
Well, my only thoughts are this is that, like a team, especially I'm thinking more of Nebraska. I think Notre Dame can get the higher guys.
Yeah.
But a team like Nebraska, they don't have a shot at getting the higher guys right now. So get back to that option football. Get really good at that, and beat up teams.
Hey, man, and listen, Lou Holtz used to like running a lot of stuff kind of that looked similar to that back in the 90s. He liked to run a lot of that action, and it was hard to defend. Not like a full option, but stuff in that ballpark. But they had real talent running it, and it's real hard to cover against real talent, real speed, and real guys that could block you.
Right. Well, also, though, if a team goes to that, they might get players that fit that better than like a pro-style offense. So I don't know. It's just some thoughts that I think about, especially when I think about teams like Nebraska. Maybe, 5 years down the road, if Notre Dame's still having these issues, maybe that's something to think about. And then one last point for you, because I know you want to get back to your Notre Dame callers. But I need to say this. I feel like these recruiting services, like especially 247 Sports, they have Steve Wilfong on there. And he does the crystal balls, and all these people do crystal balls. And they'll, for months, have a crystal ball in for a player to go to some school. And then literally, this happened at Ohio State on Monday. Literally 90 minutes before, they all flipped their crystal balls. I'm sorry, but if you're paying for a website like that, and you can't give me, you're giving me information that I would have known about like that day. Like,
that's the way it is.
Ridiculous.
That's the way it is. I'm telling you, it's amazing. Bro, it's freaking amazing that this multi-billion-dollar industry had Justin Scott committing to Notre Dame after the blue and gold game.
Yeah.
We all had our dinghies in our hands. That time never came. Then he was a Georgia lean. That didn't happen. Oh, and then Miami was going to pay for play. It was going to go there. Then it was a Notre Dame-Michigan battle. And then the guy ruins my night picking you guys.
Yeah, and after Rivals all of a sudden had all these crystal balls for him to go to Notre Dame. It's like, what the heck are these guys doing?
But you know what? They all win. They all win. But they all win. It's like the weather. It's like the Weather Channel, bro. They could get up there and be dead serious telling you the weather, and if it doesn't happen, there's no accountability. It's like shit changes. So that's all. It's the same thing as being a weatherman. And people eat it up, eat it up, eat it up. It's the exact same industry because there's no accountability at all.
I know. It's so sad that a guy can change his thing after having it for one way for so many months, and it doesn't count against him. I'd respect it if they let it count against him, and that's cool. But man, he didn't. It's just bullcrap. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. That's why I don't pay for any of that stuff. And if anything's going to break, I'm far enough up the ladder in this niche that somebody's texting me something before it goes public. So I don't feel the need to pay. Somebody's going to leak me something. But anyways, listen, congratulations on getting a high-quality Chicago Catholic League athlete such as myself, my friend. As an alumnus of that league and conference, I would like to tell you, I'm sure you're getting a great guy.
Well, thank you so much. And if you do go to the Ohio State Notre Dame game, you got to give me a call, and maybe we can set something up where you can get some internet. So
listen, man, I am still very much struggling to figure out what I want to do for that and what makes the most sense. You know, we're going to have our big tailgate party the week before for Central. So I'm still figuring out what I want to do, but I really do appreciate your offer.
Okay, man. Well, you have my number, and have a great night, everybody.
Beautiful. Thanks, man. Take care. Have a good one. Bucknut Jr. See ya. Bucknut Jr. All right, here we go again now. Robert, John, let's see in 2 years how Scott's career is going. You guys get all excited over star rankings. 2 things here. 2 things. Number 1, it isn't just about him. This is about a track record of Notre Dame not landing these guys, and it builds up, and it's more guys, and it builds up, and it's more guys, and then it's another year of it, and then you change coaches, and you're hoping it's going to kind of change, and we got to start landing more of these guys, and it all builds up, and people are just damn sick of it, man. This is a totality situation. This is not about one guy, one name. This is the totality of 30 of these guys over the last 10 years. Okay? So it isn't about this one guy. It's about you not having control of the Chicago Catholic League, which used to be a feeder pipeline to Notre Dame for all the best guys. And it isn't now. This is about Notre Dame losing its status nationally. That's what this represents. It ain't about this one guy. It's about the message this sends. And number 2, you guys get all excited over star rankings. You're goddamn right I do. Because without stars, you're not winning anything. How's that for an answer? You get all excited over star rankings for good reason. You don't have stars. You're not winning playoff games. How about that? Is that a good reason to get excited over star rankings? If you don't have great players, you're not winning anything. Is that a good reason? I'm just asking. Is that a good reason? Yeah, there's a reason people get worked up over star rankings. Because the teams with the best players win. Telling you what. Let me on the phone, 322. There's no number up here on a 322. There's a bunch of numbers. Not one of them's 322. Mitch, put me in a better mood. Calm me down, Mitch.
Dude, I'm getting fired up over here, man.
Calm me down. Tell me something good about how much fun we're going to have Sunday. Come on.
Well, the weather's looking good, so that puts me in a really good mood for us to have a lot of fun on Sunday.
Yeah, I know. The weather it was the biggest thing, too. I'm like, man, just give us a good day, the middle of the day. It could rain later, but give me a good day. Oh, man. Hey, Mitch, people that don't know, we're speaking with Mitch LaRock, who is the owner of Forever Young Sports Cards, where the Sam Hartman autograph event's going to be this Sunday. Mitch, am I overreacting, or there's some legitimate things to be frustrated about here, or am I overdoing it because it's just how I do things?
Justin Scott was a big blow. You know that because this was a kid I was super high on and was going to be strongly pursuing the NIL market.
Yeah.
And that kid is 100% getting paid in Columbus next year.
Well, now, Mitch, wait. Now, I got to ask you this. I'm not trying to put you in any sort of weird position, but you, as the owner of this autograph and memorabilia store, where your job is to help these guys make money and make NIL and do that and be the liaison with these players and their agents and their people, you have unique insight into this stuff. There is so much more meat on the bone. Notre Dame could do so much more to kind of help all of this. Do you agree with me? There's a lot more things Notre Dame could do if they really wanted to help out. Am I right or wrong?
For everyone that's listening late now, right now, I'll be honest with you, that the collective shut down me doing a public signing at Corby's. That was me putting NIL money in a kid's pocket.
And I still don't understand why they they had a problem with that. It seems to me that that'd be a win for everybody across the board. A win
It's
for you,
symbolic.
a win for you, a win for Corby's, a win for our guys, a win for South Bend. Who loses in that dynamic? I don't understand. I genuinely don't.
So yeah, as I've branched out, I'm a Notre Dame fan at heart, but my business has expanded bigger than South Bend.
Yeah.
So, and seeing how NIL interacts in the Midwest compared to what's going on in South Bend, there's truth in the pudding, man.
Yeah.
All
right,
art, then it blows my mind.
Yeah,
and
I know.
That's why I was so aggressive going after him. Like,
yeah.
Things like that should not happen in today's NIL.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope. You're right about that. And the irony in that is, you could argue that the main reason that this is happening at all is because of a guy that's down in Alabama right now, right? Like, I understand Tommy Boy was his biggest, conduit as far as the communication line there in the relationship.
Yeah.
But why do you think it is? But Mitch, why? Mitch, why? Why, Mitch? Why is Notre Dame kind of against loosening up here and getting in this game? Is it just that they think it's below them if it gets out that their guys are getting money? Like what is the aversion to being modern here when it's legal? I don't understand it, and it's making my hair fall out, dude.
It's crazy the fact that, like, these kids, like, not saying that they should be given the world, all right? But let's think the fact about how much money these kids are making in the university, all right? You're one step below professional ball, but the money these coaches are getting, everything goes in a full circle. And then, these kids are seeing what other kids are grabbing around the country. I think Notre Dame's got one kid on the team that has a car through an NIL deal. Most colleges around the country,
what is it? Like, it's like a used Ford, like, truck or something used to, like, move corn around in Indiana or something.
I don't know, man.
Come on, man. Come on.
It's just got to figure something out. And it's you have the schools down in Florida that are getting very tight with, like, agencies, and the NIL is turning into the wild, wild west in some degree, but there's still, like, a very clean slate to play on right now. And I just,
yeah,
is it Notre Dame want to be the conservative, Catholic view? And I understand, trust me, I believe it too, but at the same time, if you want to chase your dreams, you gotta make moves.
Here's what I think. I think where Notre Dame's at, there is a ton of space for them to get way more modern in a lot of different areas before we hit the point that I go, wait a second, are we still Notre Dame anymore? Do we still have these values that, are we crossing a line here? To me, there is a huge gulf that exists between where we're currently sitting and that line. And I'm just asking for Notre Dame to live somewhere in the middle there where we have more of a chance to throw our hat in the ring. And I just don't understand the aversion to it, other than I think there's some of that holier than thou, man. I think that they don't want people to know that their guys are getting money. I think even though it's legal, there's a part of them that thinks that's below them, and no one's going to convince me that's not a part of the problem.
Yeah, it's and it's just small things though, man. Like, the Under Armour stuff's driving me nuts. Like, me and you had this conversation, and it dramatically impact the recruiting trail. It also helps people like me offer the kids more money for the game used route. You have to go Nike or Jordan. That's what these kids want to wear. The stuff sells better. Everybody's happier.
Yeah.
Under Armour is a failing business. Under Armour was cool when I played ball a long time ago.
Yeah. And I don't care if they offer more money. They need Notre Dame more than Jordan and Nike does, so it makes sense they would offer more money. But what do you get for that money? One of it is, I'm telling them, you need to create a funnel for NIL money that goes into and do commercials with our guys for Under Armour, badass commercials of our guys running around in your stuff. Like, there needs to be a lot of attachments this time if they go that route. And by attachments, I don't mean stock options that go into the crapper like last time. All right?
Dude, it's branding. NIL is specifically made for these athletes to brand themselves, right? What does every one of these athletes want to wear? They ain't wearing Under Armour shoes when they're off the football field.
That's a very good point.
The movie Air came out that impacted. Like, I do signings with these kids. One of the first interactions and conversation with these kids, shoes.
Yeah.
Because balls their whole life, like, it's huge to them.
Yep. No.
Under Armour makes no impact in that level of society, unfortunately.
Yeah.
With modern athletes, if you're doing CrossFit and these other things, great. Under Armour is probably a great shoe for you.
Yeah. No, you're right. But listen, if they go with Under Armour, it has to include an NIL. It has to include an NIL angle. And I want to know about it. It can't be undercover. If they do Under Armour again and they say they paid more and there's more involved here, fine. But it's got to involve an NIL angle to me. So that's what I'm looking for. That is a way to be able to pump money into a collective without you having to come up with it. I love that idea.
Yeah, you got to, at the end of the day, it all just comes down to, I'm a pretty big Marcus Freeman believer, just from the way I hear other people speak about him.
Yeah.
And I just hope that he's getting enough ammo in that gun to fire the shots he needs to get to a national championship. Because I just feel like, everyone else takes several shots. He gets one or two, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I don't know, man.
It's not going to fair race. And at some point, Notre Dame's got to give him everything he wants. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't want to say it, but, give me another Kelly situation where, unfortunately, he's going to go find a situation that's going to give him what he wants.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the issue I think you're looking at. And the other thing is he's got to win a lot more here to be able to bounce out and go somewhere else too. Like, he's got to do a decent job. But that would be my biggest Marcus Freeman fear is he gets the learning training wheels out of the way here. And then right when he has it all figured out and it's all clicking, then he goes somewhere where they go, bring that over here and you're going to have all you need, baby. You're going to have all you need.
Yeah, what happens when that coach over in Columbus decides that he wants to go to the NFL for a try?
They want Luke Fickell. They think they're going to be able to go get Fickell away from Wisconsin. That's what they tell me. That's what those people tell me, is that they think they'll be able to pull Fickell. Because I've asked this a bunch of times, and they all said Fickell's the first guy they want, and they'll do whatever to get him if they come into that situation.
It's like I said, Notre Dame's just got to get to the level where you want them to be the best in there, but honestly, in my situation and what I get to hear and see and interact with, I just want to see them get competitive.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, there's schools down south, schools, Arizona State, because I know a lot of agencies I work with that are out there, that those players are getting better NIL packages than University of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You're telling me the University of Arizona's got a better historic football program?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people aren't listening right now, but no, that's not true. Not the case.
Yeah. No, it astounded me when you and I met up and did lunch. You were telling me about Arizona, some of the NIL stuff they have going, just for all those guys that have scholarship. We're talking about Arizona, not Alabama, not even USC, not Michigan. No, we're talking about Arizona. And it's wild. So Notre Dame's got some ground to make up. I know Freeman's trying his ass off. It's just how much can he get done? How far can we bring this? But I know this, Mitch. Sunday, everything's going to be trending up Sunday. We're going to be in a good mood. We're going to welcome Sam Hartman to town. It's the unofficial start of the ramp up to the season, and I can't wait. I do need to talk to you, though. I'll talk to you in the next couple days. I'll call you. I want to finalize some details of what I'm bringing and what we need to do.
Yeah, and then I'm going to, when I get off here, send you a couple pictures of 3 items we're giving away at the booth. So, and I'll let you do that teaser of that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
The tailgate.
That's beautiful.
Tailgate tent got some freebies.
That's beautiful.
For all who come out. So
yeah, I love that. Send me that, and I'll put it out on Twitter, put it on YouTube, and do all that, and build some last-minute rush here. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate the call. It's good talking to you. I'll see you in a few days.
All right, brother. Take care.
Beautiful.
Go Irish.
Have a good one. Go Irish. All right, here's the deal. 322. I do got you. It's a 5-7-4 though. I'm looking at the first 3 numbers, not all the next. Here's the deal. If we're going to go longer, you got to give me 1 minute. I need to go recharge real fast. I'll be back in 1 minute, and I got a few more callers. Some of them have been waiting a while. I'm going to go ahead and get to you, but you got to give me 1 minute. Entertain yourselves. Oh, boy. Give me a break, Pat. Give me a freaking break. All right. Here's what we're going to do. Welcome back. We're going to do 574, who's giving me our time. And then I got Tim and Rodney after that, and that'll probably be it. Pat, you're going to have to wait. We'll do our own show. Hello, 574.
That's right.
Well, it sounds like from what it's wait. It sounds like from your chats you're saying that's wrong. Where am I wrong? Point it out.
John, you're wrong on a lot.
I'm sure I am. It's your time to shine, baby.
Listen, hold on. What's been Clemson's recruiting class rankings?
When? What
Lower
period
than
of
Notre
time?
Dame.
What period of time?
Lower than Notre Dame.
In what period of
You
time?
have to
Recent?
look
Wait, you're wrong. Hold on. I know where this is headed,
No.
and you're wrong. Yeah.
100% I'm not wrong.
Hold
They've
on
been in
now.
the 15s and 20s.
Hold on now.
They've been in the 15s and 20s, John.
Are you talking about now or when they were winning in the playoff? Those are different time periods. Are you talking about like the last couple years or when they had the run?
Even back when they were winning.
Right.
John, if you take a look back.
You're right about
20.
that. Wait. You are right about that. However, they had the best quarterback in the country to balance out the rest of the class being a 12 or 15 class.
And
if you're going to give me Trevor Lawrence, I'll take a top 12 class or 15. If you give me the best quarterback.
I'm glad that you went into this because look at all these quarterbacks. Ungalele was supposed to be what? A generational quarterback. What did Cade Klubnik look like last year? He didn't look generational.
He got
but that's
he got
what those
beat
rankings
up.
are saying.
But what I'm saying is my research has shown, the little scientist I am, you either need a couple or a few top 5 classes stacked to be in that position to really win them all, or you need the best player at the most important position. Cam Newton did it at Auburn. Cam Newton did it. Lawrence did it. Deshaun Watson was on one of those teams that made it far without overall top 3 to 5 talent. But all those guys were like generational quarterbacks. So if you're going to give Notre Dame one of them, we could get away with a lower overall talent level. But you can't not have either.
But you have to look at our last 3 recruiting classes. All 3 back-to-back are higher rated than any class Kelly put together here in South Bend.
But what's your point?
You can't argue with that.
But what's your point? Nobody's happy enough with it. So what?
That tells you right there that we're heading in the right direction. This isn't yesteryear where college football was, let's get a good education. These kids, they don't want to work. It's let's get
that's kind of a problem.
Let's get this money right now.
Bro, that's kind of a problem. But I think generally speaking, you're probably right about that. So it's like, why go to Notre Dame then, man? Especially
exactly.
If you think you're going to be a pro, like if you're a 5-star guy and all that, 4 for 40, you're going, I don't even plan on being here 4 years. What do you mean 4 for 40? I'm looking at 3 for 30, and the 30 is in millions. Those guys aren't worried about 4 for 40. And even if you said, oh, look at the percentages of those 5 stars that actually pan out and end up making it to the. I know it's rare, but every one of those alpha dogs being pumped up at their high school in their little town, being told they're the hero, they all think they're going to make it. 4 for 40 ain't going to get it for them guys.
And then guess what? In 15 years, when they're loading a UPS truck and they're damn near broke, it's going to matter then, but they don't see the forest through the trees, John.
Well, that's the problem. So what's the solution here? Me to lose all my hair and go crazy on the air? Like, how do we get out of this? Do you get to a point where, do you need 1 year where, all right, let me ask you this. First off, I appreciate your phone line. It's crystal clear, buddy, and I appreciate that, so thank you. Let me ask you this. How big of a practical impact do you think it would have on recruiting if Notre Dame won the marquee 3? If Notre Dame won all 3, I'm not gonna say what it looks like by how much. How can it not move the needle if you beat 3 teams?
It's not going to move the needle.
Because it isn't money?
It's not going to move the needle.
Why? Because it's not money? Why would not beating the 3 teams that may win their conferences that are all highly respected, how can it not move the needle?
It's not going to move the needle. Kids don't look at that nowadays. They want the instant, am I going to play tomorrow? I mean, look at the bench. There's a lot of positions that are stacked.
But wait.
You got to be...
Wait. Couldn't Notre Dame tell Keeley, you come here, you don't have to wait behind these NFL guys at Alabama. You'll be playing right away, getting after the quarterback right away if you come here. That didn't work with him. You could tell the same thing.
Well, guess what? Give it about a year, and if he hasn't moved the needle down there, you think he's going to sit? He's not staying. He's going to leave.
But what is your big beef with me? Do you think I'm being unfairly harsh on Notre Dame or Freeman or the admin or what?
I think you have to look at the full grand scheme of things to see where we've been, how far we've come, Once they start pumping some money into the goo, get that thing going, and Domer guys, the positions that are stacked. Look at running back. Yeah, you have Estimate leaving, but you have Price behind him. Love's supposed to be really good. Wide receiver, you got all these 3 young wide receivers.
So
that are supposed to be great.
You think?
What are you going to do?
Where are your monster defensive linemen? I don't believe you can make a run in the playoff without monster, big time impact, clog up all the running holes, get after the quarterback. I don't think you can win it all without an elite defensive front. And I'm not sure Notre Dame has that now. And I'm not sure they don't have one lined up for the next couple of years. Make me feel better about it, man. I'm open to it. Make me feel better.
What about Bryant Youngstone? What's he going to turn into?
Hopefully a monster. That dude's almost 6'6" already. He keeps growing, but I need more than one. I need 3 of them guys on that line, not one.
Who was that other lineman we just got committed that's shooting up the rankings right now too? What's his name?
Don't say that. Be quiet. Because every time one of the guys that commits to us rises in the rankings, we lose them the next time. So don't bring it up. No, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't do it. Don't say it, man. Isn't that what happened with Keeley? No, I heard Notre Dame's on this guy early. They see that he's got all this potential. And then once he shot up, all the big boys came into town and it was like, yeah, Notre Dame, that was fun. I'm glad we flirted. We had that wild night together, but it was over. That's what it felt like.
But again, you have to take a look at 2 to 3 years down the line. I mean, yeah, everyone's saying 5 stars, 4 stars, but how many of those guys are flops? A lot of them. That's been our problem over the years. Look at Jordan Johnson.
Oh my God. But the problem, okay, but wait, the problem is if a lot of guys aren't going to end up being great, wouldn't you feel better taking the risk on a bunch of guys that coming in people think could be great? Like the odds are still going to be in your favor for guys not panning out with more 4 and 5 stars than 3 stars. The math just tells you that.
I would take a team full of dudes that are high ceiling, might not be superstars right now, but they could grow into that.
RKGs.
Overtaking 1 or 2 pieces a year that could flop.
Is Brian Kelly at your house? Is Brian Kelly at your house? RKGs, the right kind of guys, baby. RKGs all day, baby. When he said RKG, I knew right away that was political speak for, we know you're not going to be impressed with this recruiting class. Believe there's a future. That's it. That's what RKG means. We know you're going to be mad. Trust us. In a few years, this guy's going to develop and be awesome.
But I mean, you have to take a look at how many kids have went in the first round over the last, 5-10 years compared to the 10, 15 years before that.
And the other thing that's bugging me, man, here's the other thing. It's bugging me to have Freeman here, who made his bones as a defensive player, made it to the NFL, Ohio State, defensive coordinator, a couple spots, did pretty good. Then we get him as the head guy, and now the offensive recruiting's kind of decent, and we feel better about it, and we're all worried about defense. Does that tell you?
Let me throw this one at you.
Wait.
Let me throw you this one, John.
Do you think Al Golden and Al Washington are the problem? Or is it the kids and what they're looking for? Or Freeman or what?
I think Golden, he's not what we need.
You think Golden is too olden? Just say it. You think Golden's too olden?
100%.
Time to retire and go back to the NFL? Is that it?
But I want to throw this one at you, John. This is a good one here. What's going to move the needle more? These 3 big wins or throwing 3 to 4 guys in the first round every year?
Ooh, that's a good question. What if I argued that they were connected? Because to win those big games, you're going to have to win those big games. You're going to have guys that are good enough to get into the league. How about that? Well,
John, look at Ohio State. Like, when's the last time they won the national championship? And look how many guys they put in the first round. It's not connected.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think if you went with the draft picks, that's more concrete because like wins and losses could be fluky and up and down one year or the next. Putting guys into the league is putting guys into the league. But to be honest, Notre Dame's been doing a pretty good job of that. Like they've been in the top 8 or so of putting guys in the league lately. But it's just the fans feel like we need a little more, man. I think we all thought Freeman was going to get this recruiting to a different level right away. And we're seeing that it's harder than we wanted. People are frustrated.
See, these people don't understand. This is what I'm saying. Ohio State has probably had as many first-round picks as Alabama the last couple of years, maybe even with Georgia. But take a look at it. How many national championships do they have in the case?
Now,
One lately.
Let me ask you this, too. When we look at this, guys we're putting in the league, I also want to bring up what kind of guys. Like Notre Dame's pretty good at putting tight ends in the league, offensive linemen in the league, but we're not putting in skill guys that win playoff games. Where are the quarterbacks? Where are the wide receivers? Where are the monster defensive linemen? Those are the guys I need us to be putting in the league. Those are the guys that really move that needle in a playoff game. That's a little bit of an issue to me, too. It can't.
Offensive linemen aren't moving that needle.
They
how many offensive
are,
linemen we have in the league
but
that are
it
the
can't
highest
just
position?
be that. It can't just be that. You need skill guys that score points for the offensive line to block for. You need guys that score points. Points win.
I mean, having taller than 5'10" quarterbacks can see over the line that can actually throw is going to help too.
It's going to help a lot.
I can't tell you how many times I was in Notre Dame Stadium watching Ian Book, and there's guys streaking down the field.
I know.
Wide open, and he's not throwing at them.
You know what? You know what came up on YouTube today? You know how you get on YouTube and a bunch of videos are suggested. You didn't really type it in, but they know what you look for, and they present stuff to you. That's probably how half you people found me. But it was the Stanford highlights from this last year. And I watched it just because I wanted to relive the misery and see how bad it was. And the last play of the game, it was like 4th and 6. And Pine throws it 4 yards to the tight end with 5 guys on him, short to the line, like short of the line to gain. It was the most representative thing I could ever imagine. 4th and 6, game on the line. He throws a 4-yard pass with 5 guys around the tight end, short of the sticks. It summarized everything last year was that I hated.
I love that I have your chat just going wild right now because they can't stand the fact that kids aren't going to Ohio State to win national championships. They're going to get in the NFL. I love it.
Well, I mean,
the chat is going wild.
Ideally, shouldn't those things be connected? If you're putting a lot of guys in well, think about it. Ohio State didn't win.
You know what that tells you, though?
Well, Ohio State didn't win the championship last year, but they made it in. They were a play away from being right in the title game. You can't act like Ohio State wasn't competitive just because they didn't win the title. They were.
Do you remember when they were in there and they lost worse against Clemson than what we did? You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Well, they lose like 37-0.
It was very bad. Yeah, I do. It was very bad.
And we looked more competitive with Clemson than what they did?
Yeah, but aren't we just like comparing who's a bigger loser at that point instead of who's a real winner? Like, congratulations, we lost by less. Like, that's not the argument I want to make defending Notre Dame. Is like, you lost by 80, we lost by 50, we're better than you. Like, that's still a loser argument. Even if it's accurate, it's a loser argument, bro.
No, if we had as much talent as those guys, it wouldn't even – we'd be ready to jump off the ship right then and there.
So how do we solve this, man? Everybody's frustrated. Obviously, if we have a good year, if we have a good year on the field next year, meaning 10-2, 11-1 or better, that's should help some of this out. Other than just winning your games, what do you think the solution is to make us all feel more comfortable about where this is all headed?
What needs to happen is we need to keep putting these top 10 classes back to back to back. Because eventually you're going to get some guys that crack.
This is going to be a top 10 class?
This one coming up?
Yeah.
What is it right now?
24? I looked before we went live. It was number 6.
There's no way it's 24, John.
No, I'm saying on the web.
ESPN.
I'm saying on the website called 247. On the website called 247, they have the composite. Notre Dame was number 6 before I went live today. I saw number 6. However, you know damn well they're not going to stay there. Wherever we're at before signing day, drop 10, and that's where they end up. That's my math, bro. Every time we get into signing day, we drop like a rock. Name the last signing day we went up. When do we go up? We got all the half flippers. We get all the half flippers we're never in the mix for. We drop like a rock every signing day.
What were we last year, John? Top 10?
No, we didn't end up in no top 10. Somebody look it up. There's no way we ended up in the top 10.
Somebody look it up in the chat. Tell John what the number was, because I know it's top 10.
Who did you go to? Notre Dame's thebest.com to get your recruiting rankings or what?
No, you can even go to On3.
Oh, I thought nobody likes On3 because they move our guys 100 spots up and down and nobody trusts them. What happened to that?
Those are the homers right there. That's why it's the homers.
Oh, God. Okay, some people are saying 12, 13, 12, 12, 12, or 13. Everybody's saying 10 on 3, 12 on 247. No offense, but I thought Marcus was going to do better than that. 5, 6, 7, somewhere right in there, baby.
On 3, ND Troll Sniper. There you go. There's a big gap between 7 and 3. Of course there is. There definitely is. And that's what everyone's up against right now. You got Georgia, you got Alabama, and then you got Ohio State that's reeling them in because they're putting kids in the league. But guess what? They're not winning championships. They're not even winning the Big Ten championship.
It's
you
true.
got Michigan winning it over there.
Yeah, and look what happened to them. They won the Big Ten twice. Their lunatic coach decided to stick around. That isn't even from Earth. He decided to stay on Earth for a little while,
floors.
And now their recruiting's going up.
And he's sleeping on recruits' floors and he's reeling them in. I mean, it's just a weird thing.
It's a creepy guy. Like, I know I'm not normal, but I ain't that creepy. I'm not normal. I know I'm not normal, but I ain't weird like that dude's weird. He's a different kind of weird. That guy is weird, man. You can look in that dude's eyes and see that he ain't connected to the world. Like, bro, you know what I mean? You can look in Jim Harbaugh's eyes and see that he's an alien from another planet. You could just see that it's not connecting. And the reason I say that is he's got a brother that's pretty normal in football, and you look at him and he's tied to reality. This dude's a Martian. He's a freaking alien.
And guess what? Michigan's going to beat him again. But yet, Ohio State will still have more first-round picks, more second-round picks.
Is Notre Dame going to beat Ohio State? Is Notre Dame going to beat Ohio State at home?
I think so. Honestly, I think this is our year to have a chance at actually beating those guys. They got a freshman quarterback. They lost a lot along the line. I mean, this is our one year to have a crack at actually beating them.
Yeah, well, I mean, theoretically, you got the 6-year guy, quarterback and whatever. They got a year 1 guy. However, they have more talent overall everywhere else, and they have more depth. But in the most important area, quarterback, we should have the advantage. How does that all line up? I don't
100%.
know. I don't know. That's how
I see it. You know what a good quarterback does for you, John? It raises
the
skill positions look better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think that's the biggest thing that's going to help those wide receivers come along, is that guy putting the ball on him where it needs to be, in rhythm, on time. That's all going to help. Do you have any concerns on the defensive side of the ball? Because I have a lot. I am worried that we're going to look fine against the nobodies, and then in the big three, we're going to get pushed around and ran on. I'm already having nightmares about it. Tell me this is an unfound worry.
I don't think we're going to get pushed around. I think that scheme will beat team all day. My worry is flipping to that 3-3-5, and then you go up against those power teams, and then that'll be a problem. So
Yeah.
I think they need to be pretty smart with how they use their schemes. But I think safety, that's definitely a concern for me.
Yeah.
Even though they pulled in the top, the top transfer at that time for safety, I just think that's going to be where it gets a little tough.
Yeah, nope, I agree. And the other thing is you got to avoid these traps. NC State's going to be a trap. Whether you win or lose with Ohio State, Duke is going to be a trap. People laugh at that. I'm telling you, whether you win or lose against Ohio State, everybody's going to be emotionally drained. The fans, the players, everybody. Duke, I have circled right away. Whether you win or lose the week before.
We've seen it against Marshall.
Oh.
Yeah, we've seen it against Marshall.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that one up. I could have went a lifetime without reliving that. I already brought up Stanford. You had to bring up Marshall too? What are you trying to do to me? What are you trying to do to me? Shit. Give me a break.
I'm stirring that pot with you, John. I see you turning cherry red over there in that chair.
Oh, yeah,
I'm just trying to see if I can.
Yeah, you're stirring the pot. You're making me need to smoke a bunch of pot to calm down after this. All right, buddy? What are you pushing me to do here? You're a bad influence. All right, anything else you got, my friend?
Should have me called drunk.
Oh, God. Anything else you got? I got 2 more callers I need to get to. Anything else?
No, I think I proved my points, though, John. I think we're good.
I think you just wanted to see how high. I need a blood pressure meter. Is that a thing I could buy on Amazon? One of those things that like measures your blood pressure. We could have it on air. And then when I read certain chats and start freaking out, the number goes in the danger zone. And wouldn't that be great? I think that's the best thing I could do. I think that's the best thing I could do.
Box and I'll send one to you.
Dude, that would be a riot.
I'll send one.
I'm going to have that meter on the scale down. It's just going to go off. Last time I had to get my blood drawn, I was doing some, what is it? Death insurance benefits, life insurance, and they need to check to make sure you're not like half dead before they give you money or whatever. The lady did my blood pressure. It was like right after the Stanford game. And she was doing my blood pressure. She goes, John, if these are really your numbers, by law, I have to call an ambulance. She said it. She goes, if this is your sitting blood pressure, I legally have to call 911. She goes, what's going on? I said, a lot of family stress at home, lady. Back off.
Oh, I need to show up to Crown Point this Sunday, I think. I think it'd be great.
God, no, you need to listen. You're not as mean as I thought you were going to be. Come to the Central Michigan game. 574. I know your ass is local. Come drink some beers with us for Central Michigan. Come by.
I'll do it. I'll make it happen.
No, for real. Make it happen. It's going to be a hell of a party. We're going to have a great time. Come by, buddy. All right, I got to get to my last callers of the day. Hey, thanks. Right. I mean it. Thanks for calling. Crystal clear phone line. You weren't nearly as mean as I thought or illogical. Good call.
All right, John. You have a good night.
Have a good one, man. Now I need to go take my meds. Thanks a lot. 2 more calls, Rodney and Timothy. Andrew says, because they want the money flowing to the school, not the players. I agree with that. Here's my beef. This is in reference to me saying I want that Under Armour money, some of it to be earmarked for NIL. And Andrew's saying they want the money flowing to the school, not the players. Here's the issue. If I felt that all the money funneling into the school was properly then dispersed, I wouldn't have an issue with that. But that's not what's happening. They're taking the money and they're not doing the football stuff I need. That's why I want it to be separate, because I can't trust that the money going in there is going to what I need it to go to. I'm going to have a stroke on the air. Tim, calm me down. Calm me
I
down.
can't do that. I 100% always agree with you, but you made two good points. Well, first of all, there's another Catholic league you forgot that we don't used to control, and now Ohio State owns it. The one I went to, GCL in Cincinnati. Look back at the Parsegan teams, the Divine teams, the Holtz teams. We owned the city of Cincinnati and Chicago. Those were our bloodlines to recruiting. That's part one. Part two, how dumb is our business department? We signed a deal. I didn't even know that until you brought this up. We took stock options on a failing freaking company.
Yep.
Take the money up front. What the fuck were we thinking? We have the number one business school in the country. That tells you right there, John, I'm depressed. It has nothing to do with one guy.
Yeah.
That's the other thing you haven't brought out on this, because you got to do age dynamic. I'm 56. Most of your callers, I would think, are in their 30s or 40s, minus Dr. John. The whole environment of what that place is, it's a bunch of freaking eggheads that don't give a flying fuck if we win a football game. Oh, they can go out and go after the game. It's all a social thing. Here's the other thing you got to factor in this. When we were at Notre Dame, there was 10-to-1 guy-girl ratio if you factored out St. Mary's. Now it is, it's 50-50. Oh, we lose a game. Good. I'll go hook up.
Yeah. Hey, listen, man, how do we navigate out of this? Like, we know where we're at and we know it isn't ideal in the big landscape. Is winning our marquee three enough? Like, what do we need to do to get to the next step? Or is nothing going to change till the administration realizes they need to get serious about football? Like, is that the bottom line?
You know as well as I do, the administration is never going to get serious, and people are going to do this unless, but it's already kind of started. When that stadium starts to sit half empty, they've already lost their sellout streak, which they had, over 30 years?
Yeah.
That's dropped. If their TV ratings drop, when people start getting where it doesn't matter anymore. Because let's face it, John, I'm 56 years old. My generation, the last time that we saw on a consistent basis, our down period was 5 years.
Yep.
We're now it's mediocrity. That's what they've accepted. They've built into this. That's why they signed this deal. This is where they're going to be happy with. Let's just make the playoffs. Okay. And we win maybe 2 games, because I did the numbers on it. We went in to play the number 1 seed. Let's say we go 12-0 if we have that, because you got to downscale the schedule. But also I'd cut a deal with USC. Hey, assholes, when we play you once a year or not, you can go away. You've cost us enough titles. That's the other thing I got to point out. If you're a true Notre Dame fan, shut the hell up. There's one school you have to beat. If you know the history of that school, you know how many more titles we had under Parsegan when they had 5 titles if it wasn't for USC.
Yeah.
So let's get a clue here. I'm getting really pissed about that. If you're a true Notre Dame fan and know your history, not your little younger generation. And by the way, when I was there in my generation, in the prime of my 20s, we beat them 11 straight years.
Yeah.
So let's know the history. I get annoyed when people don't know the history.
But now wait. Do you understand, though, why people are prioritizing Ohio State the way they are? Because it's the first big game that comes on the schedule. Right, that's why. Like, I get why. It's because it's the first marquee game on the slate.
There's a game you better prior towards that, because the stadium will be all red. If we don't beat North Carolina State, you're going to lose your mind. You're going to have a stadium of 80% red.
You're right.
We are not undefeated going into Ohio State, that stadium's going to be taken over by Ohio State. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah. If Notre Dame loses any game before Ohio State, it's going to be a sea of red. It's going to be so bad. It's going to be so bad. Like it's going to be really, really bad. If we lose a game before, these Notre Dame fans are going to sell them all. They'll be flooding the market. No doubt.
That's depressing because they don't care. But I'm telling you right now, dumb schedule because they don't care about winning. All we had to do the politically correct thing. How moronic is it? I'm telling you right now, you're going to lose your mind. You should do a call it. That second game of the year with jet lag and how you're going to I would not be shocked. I hope the guy we're not losing, but we either tied or in there because they're going to have speed. They're going to have some athletes. If we walk through the motions in game 2, we could have problems.
Oh boy. I don't even want to think about that. But it's really arrogant of Notre Dame fans not to look at any game as a loss when you lost to Marshall and Stanford at home last year as 17.5-point favorites. You could lose to anybody. You lose to those two, anything's possible.
Well, that's the ironic thing, though. I love this. The argument I love, though. People say we're irrelevant, but really, okay, everybody's Super Bowl. I don't care your conference. We are minor schools. But here's the other thing. For a lot of years, until recently, I'll go the last 10 years, John, the weakest network we were ever on was ESPN. Still out the NBC, but our away games are normally 85 to 90% of them are on ABC. You don't even need a cable feed. Mine's our own damn Peacock thing, and that was a joke, too, but we'll see. And by the way, your other caller, the AD is not saying he wants to go into be an older caller that lives and died in Notre Dame football. He's not said he wants to go into the conference. He wants to stay independent. I think he might actually keep us out of the conference because he grew up under the Holt system, and I think he actually does care about football. We'll see. I think the old people, like you've brought out numerous times, they don't care, and I don't know how we get around them.
Yeah.
Because they're so damn arrogant. They don't realize what built the school. But here's what scares me even more, John. That's what they've built this school into. What were the 3 pillars that Notre Dame was built on? Religion 1, academics, and religion. And sports. Sorry, throw in sports. They don't care about it. The only thing they care about anymore, throw out the other 2 out of the 3 because that's a long, hard different discussion on that. About how they don't care about religion.
Now, all right. This is a good question for you because you're my dad's generation. And he speaks to me the way you do about that fear of your generation being the last one connected to us winning a title and that the danger that exists when you expand another generation out with no elite winning, which would be my generation. He talks about that danger all the time, just like you do. Let me ask you this. You've been around. Do you hold out hope that Bavacqua will be able to make some modern progress with those higher level admins that Jack couldn't because maybe he's willing to go to bat for Freeman on more modern ideas than Jack was willing to do or even realize he had an obligation to do? Do you hold out hope that could change some of this, or is it so far locked in that that's a changing person, but it isn't going to change the outcome?
I got hope. The one thing I'm going to say is that we paid an AD $5 million a year that lived in Indianapolis, and he was old. Is this guy that took a pay cut? Maybe he has a little heart. We'll find out. I mean, let's look at the next 2 deals that are signed, which Swerve signed off on. Let's see how aggressive he is. I mean, let's face it, he doesn't have to make a major hire because his 3 biggest revenue-producing sports are guaranteed with good coaches, and we look politically correct, which is good. They've got 3 African Americans that are coaching these programs, and look, that's why. Why do you think Neil Ivey and Marcus get along? They bust their ass recruiting, and I honestly think the basketball coach is working his ass. I'm impressed how he rebuilt the roster. So we'll see. I don't know what this guy's going to do. I mean, he obviously has to care about football because obviously he went on to become a lawyer and stuff. But the time to be a walk-on at Notre Dame just for a punter, he actually cared, or why would you do it?
Yeah. No, I thought of that too. That's a very, very, you know what, man? I wrote that right when they announced the Bavacqua hire, and I wrote my article on Irish Wire. I made that point saying specifically, I like the idea that even though he was a walk-on punter, he had that drive and wasn't like an egghead dork. And he did some football, at least enough to an extent to understand the mind frame of a Lou Holtz era Notre Dame player and what that's kind of like. That matters to me a little bit. That is different than like, I'm a dork, egghead, nerd, never did football. Now I'm the AD. That does matter to me a little bit. And I'm hoping he's holding on to some of those feelings and the intensity and knowing what it takes to be great at football at Notre Dame and all that. I'm hoping that helps, man. I do.
Here's the other thing.
People are asking me, oh, the walk-on punter counts. It counts more than some dork who's doing nothing but reading books in touchdown Jesus during a home game. Do you know how many Notre Dame students there are that don't even go to the home games and they're in the library doing their math equations? Give me a break. At least that guy gave a shit.
Whoa. Let's go back to whoa. You know my generation. You know what year my dad graduated. You didn't get a game, your ass was in a lake. My generation, no offense, I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody, unless you were Oriona, you were at the game. Now, I don't know what the hell has happened in 30 plus years. If that's what the new trend is, would it shock me? Probably not. Because as I told you, look at what they now have. They recruit students. I got a friend, his son got recruited to Notre Dame. I said, wait a minute, Pat, he doesn't play a sport. You recruit students. So they go up with the Dukes, the North Carolinas, the Harvards, and the Yales. There's your biggest reason why, in my mind, I am depressed that I don't think we'll ever win, because the desire to win is not there. They built what they wanted to. And that's the bottom line.
It rubs me the wrong way. Every time you and I talk, I end up saying the same thing. And it offends me that they seem to be turning away from the main thing that made their brand national and worldwide and gave them all the fame and credibility and everything. It was elite football success is what spread that brand name and had people wanting to buy in and watch, send their kids there, donate. Maybe they're not smart enough or rich enough to go there, but they love the value system. None of that would be what it is without elite football success. It bothers me. It bothers me that now that you made it to that level, you don't think you have to honor that anymore. It rubs me the wrong way.
But John, they also did it. Remember the big controversy? And my dad was my dad was one of the original Sworn Society members where you gave $1,000. I did it. Remember the big controversy? And I know I don't want to go down this with you because I don't want to create a political controversy. Remember the hell that broke loose and that's why I stopped giving. When they had Obama come back and give a graduation speech. Remember the split they did with the alumni and how much millions of dollars their donations dried up a little bit?
I don't remember. I think that was a little before I was in this game, so I don't remember all that to that extent.
That was a big go research that back up. It was referenced. Did you ever see the movie that was done by the same guy that did the Catholics versus Convicts, the Hesburgh documentary?
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, it's been a while though.
But that's you want to just do a research. The split and the controversy when they had Obama come back and give a graduation speech. People weren't going to get their degrees. It split the alumni down the middle. So that's a big. There's big firing sports, but you got to look at the dynamics of what the student body is now. It's very liberal. They don't really give a damn if we win football, and so and that buys into what the administration's become. Look at the presidents. Now, if we get Jenkins out of there and get more of a conservative priest, maybe we'll be okay. But we'll see. And that could kick the guys you're worried about, the upper top guys. But until it hits their bottom line, which it hasn't hit yet, they're not going to care. I'm a realist. I'm depressed about it, but I'm also 56 years old. I hope to God we get one more. But do I realistically think we can? Because this is the last year I think we can legitimately do it. Because
hey. Man, if we don't get any more, at least you saw some you remember. Where does that leave me? Living and dying in this. That leaves me living and dying in this basement, given everything I have sweating with this shit. And I don't get to see even one that I can feel as an adult what it's like to win. Man, that's depressing.
It is, but here's one great hope you can have. And you made a good point on this. The one thing we can do, build our team like Clemson did, and just magic in a bottle. Maybe how ironic would that be if it's Carr's kid, grandson?
Yeah.
Take the elite quarterback.
Yep, you could build
and
around
he
that.
can take us to the promised land.
Yep, you could build around that. That is one thing I hold out hope for, and I've seen evidence of. If you have that guy at quarterback, it can mask a lot of things and raise the level of your whole operation. I agree with you, and you got to hope Carr is that guy. One of these guys is that guy. You're right about that, my friend. You're right.
Well, I know you got one more card, and I know it's late for you. Hey, best of luck. Appreciate the text back. I hope your NLL Sunday goes well, and get more people involved in that. Get more athletes. That's the other thing that kills me. We have the #1 business school. You're telling me we couldn't have? That would have been one of their projects. Hell, you're making a project for your grad students. How are we going to develop this? What do you be on board with the thing?
Yep.
That tells me there's a disconnect right there.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. You're right. Like there's a lot of angles they could take here and they're not doing it. So I don't know, but hey, Tim, thanks a lot, my friend. Have a good one. Appreciate you.
You take care. Have a great weekend, man.
Have a good one. Oh boy. 818 Rodney. Calm us down, brother. Make me feel better about things. Everybody's worked up. Make me feel better.
Once more, the Sith will rule the galaxy, and we shall find.
That was creepy. That was creepy, bro. That was a creepy voice.
That's all came in my mind, man. I was thinking of the Emperor and his line to Anakin Skywalker, man. So if that calms you down, we're in trouble. Oh, man,
No, I don't. No, I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I don't know anymore, man. Like Notre Dame's at number 6 in the recruiting rankings. We have an exciting year ahead of us. Like we should be feeling better than we are. But this fan base is wrought with anxiety. Make me feel better about it, man.
All right, well, here's the thing, man. There's a lot of thoughts going through my head. But first thing, I wanted to make 100% absolutely crystal clear. No question, buddy. And maybe right around then, 2012, 13-ish, 14-ish. I stopped even, you can't do this, John, because of the show, so you almost can't do this. But at least you can disconnect emotion from it. Don't care about recruiting at all until the day after National Signing Day. And then promote all your frustration or all your elation or all your in-between for one day. Because think about all these days that we've been upset about this or happy about that, and then we lose them and upset again, and now we're happy because this guy might think about taking a visit. And all these things going on behind the scenes, and all it does, at the end, I found when I just watched to see how they were doing at the end, it's like, oh, okay, we finished in the top 10. Great, I didn't have to stress about any of that, and we had a top 10 finish. Oh, we finished number 15. That isn't as good. Really hope Kelly can get some guys to develop this team a little bit better, but okay. Oh, we finished number 6 this year, or number 5, whatever. Great, let's see if these guys actually pan out. That's what I'm going to start with.
Well,
that's what I'm going to start with. Because I'm telling you, man, it is unhealthy as all hell. I used to be that guy that bought every recruiting publication. I'm talking back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
I would go to rehearsal, getting ready for a play, and I'd be in the back in the truck as I read about Notre Dame.
Did you get the old? Did you get the old blue and gold magazine mailed to the house with the old? And it folded, yeah. And it folded out, and you waited for that recruiting one had the big sheet with their pictures, and you learned who we got and where they were from. I couldn't wait for that, man. It just came right
the
on
way
the
I talk to you,
doorstep.
I used to call in and talk to Eric Hansen all the time. Garrett Pritchard on 96. Back in the day, even when Jeff Freeby was doing it, or Chuck Freeby and Jeff Jeffers and Jack Nolan, when they did it, I call in all the time. I was obsessed with Notre Dame football, man, and I still am. But you know what? I've learned to manage it in such a way where it's like, oh my God, man, all this overreaction and underreaction and everything in between. It doesn't mean it doesn't deserve its ire and but man, it needs to be looked at from a little bit more of a distance, just a little bit more. Okay, but on that point, having said all that, that's the first thing I'll say. Okay. The other thing too is the stuff about Babak was very interesting because I'm like, okay, now I'm a little confused. Is this kind of like Swarbrick's swan song year? Is this like his last year, or is he actually done?
He's gonna go until a time to be identified later, sometime in 2024. And until then,
Okay.
Bavakwa is attached to him at the hip, shading him around, trying to learn how to do everything. I might argue Bavakwa might be better off if he didn't shadow Jack and he just kind of did it on his own feel. However, there's a lot to learn, so he's shadowing Jack for the next 6 or so months, is my understanding.
He's basically doing what Marcus Freeman did under Kelly, if you think about it.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
he's
So he's getting prepped for the job in his first year. I'm liking what I'm hearing, man. I'm liking what I'm hearing from this guy. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And then some of the stuff with the Brady Quinn, the NIL stuff, I know it's behind the scenes. Maybe everything we're saying we want them to do is actually in motion, and we just haven't seen it yet. Now, I know it's optimistic, but it's like maybe that's what's happening.
I would love that.
Frankly,
Listen, I would love that. But my whole life, I have seen Notre Dame be so far behind every modern college football trend that by the time Notre Dame gets on board with the trend, the next trend is the happening trend. It drives me nuts. We're so reactionary. We're so reactionary. By the time we do something, it's like now Notre Dame's at the party. The party's at a different location.
I've been there so many times. And I'm telling you, it's almost as if it's college football sticking its tongue out at us. Like, oh, Notre Dame's figuring some things out. Guess we got to go this way now. You know what I mean? It's almost like everybody's in on it, man. Because it does feel a little bit like we can't be that bad. We can't be that behind. I was actually liking, when I first heard about the NIL thing, I was thinking, from what I had heard behind the scenes, now that Notre Dame was kind of in front of all this, and it was looking good. And then it's like the minute that happens, and then the trend becomes, oh, now let's just pay players to come here. Thank you, thank you, Texas A&M. Because I think that started. I mean, when you gotta get called out by Nick Saban because of shady recruiting practices, that probably means things. And all kidding aside, Saban did what he had to do under what he was allowed to do to make his team the greatest, that he could make it and become probably the best head coach ever in the history of college football. Even I kind of have to say that now. And I didn't want to say that a few years ago. I would have said, honestly, I would have taken Urban Meyer over Nick Saban a few years ago, man. I mean that. Even though he's done some scummy things.
Yeah.
But I think Saban has probably earned that right now. But he's seeing some things now, and I think he's coming to the end of his career where it's like, I think he looks at the landscape, and I think he cares about college football. And I think he's starting to realize that, some of these things ain't good, man. And what we need, it's so obvious that, Notre Dame aside, I don't like, when I heard you talk earlier, man, about now it's like you got to pay for unofficial business and stuff, I'm like, that's shady as all hell. Like, that's shady. I mean, official visit's okay. Yeah, it's an official visit. You're coming there, we'll pay and you do it. But now you got to pay for unofficial visits.
Yeah. No, it did.
That's extortion, man. That's slimy.
It was
slimy.
Mike Frank, who runs the Irish Sports Daily. He's been doing it a long time. He said, I want to paint a picture for you guys to know how extreme this has gotten. And he said, as an example, it is to the point where I can verify families and agents or handlers have reached out to Notre Dame and said, we're not even coming for an unofficial unless you're paying for everything, including entertainment and travel and all that. And I don't know. I can't verify whether that's true or not, but a guy that's been doing this 25 years and has a lot of inside information said that's what's going on. So I don't know.
I'm not saying it's not going on. I'm saying it's just leave it to human beings to slime things up. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what
isn't that the way it goes? Isn't that the way it goes?
Just leave it to a human being to
Yeah.
slime it up and drop the morality. I mean, that's what we've done.
Yeah.
I mean, we do that so well in our own country. We do that so well across the globe. I
Yeah.
mean,
And the problem
we're
is,
just
the problem is,
just obsessed with money and power and
and the problem
and
is,
Notre Dame's no
all
different,
it
man.
takes,
Notre Dame's no
Rodney,
different.
all it takes is one or two people to introduce that into the pool, and then the whole thing gets mucked up, right?
That's my point.
Yeah, that's
my
all it
point.
takes.
It's just like
That's all it takes.
politicians, John. A couple of them do a couple corrupt things, and
Yeah.
then that starts to become a trend, and then it becomes such a trend that no one thinks it's bad because, well, he's doing it, she's doing it, he's doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so there's like there's no accountability and morality, and that brings me back to this point. If it like I said, I want to believe that this is now headed in the right direction. Maybe it is, and maybe it is. And again, it's behind the scenes or whatever, but maybe it is. And by the way, this year, what an opportunity for Marcus Freeman to knock off Ohio State in Week 5.
Yeah.
God forbid we're undefeated up until that point, and then what the momentum could do with that.
You know what? Wait a
could get on
second.
board.
I am really glad you brought that up, because one of the things I've been thinking about is we're frustrated with some of the dynamics beyond Freeman's control. Like, a lot of the things going on in the sport are frustrating, and they don't help Notre Dame. It is a blessing in some ways that we have the opportunity to play these 3 marquee ball games against 3 really respected good teams that are all expected to be first or second in their conference. Like, Notre Dame has a great opportunity. We can't change under the table pay for play. What you can change is kick the shit out of those 3 teams, and nobody can say Notre Dame can't win the big game. That's the best thing you could do.
And that's just it, man, is that, look, let's say we got Justin. Let's say we had the number 1 recruiting class in the country right now, and it wasn't even close. Let's just say that. Let's say we go to Ohio State and we lay an egg. And let's say 3 of those guys that we had that we recruited had Ohio State number 2, and now they're going to Ohio State. Oh, they decommitted. Oh, that guy decommitted. So, and that's the other thing. It's like, okay, if we're going to look at this as getting all, upset at Peyton Bowen, on signing day chose some school. I don't even remember where he ended up going. I mean, he had so many schools he was looking at that last
He
day.
just kept changing, changing. Every week he's at a different spot.
It was ridiculous. It's like musical chairs. It became, I was like, I don't even want this guy anymore. He maybe says a good grade. So that, honestly, and I don't usually say that about recruits. I usually look, just, make yourself feel better by saying all you want, but that sucked. I was glad we didn't get him that day. I honestly was like, this guy's going to transfer in a year if he comes here. He'll be gone. You know what I mean? That's why I didn't get excited about him. Like, okay, great. Let's say he signs.
Yeah.
He's going to be gone. I don't even know that Justin Scott's not going to decommit from Ohio State in 2 weeks. Sounds like he don't know what he wants either.
Hey,
I'm not saying
hey, man, anything can happen, but I got to react to what is, but I got to react to what's.
Ohio State. I'm like, wait a second. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, well, he commits to us, and be like, well, let's see if he really commits. Well, by the same token, does that mean he's like he's at Ohio State, no doubt, but on the dotted line? I mean, that school came out of nowhere. So I mean, it's like, look for this kid to flip 3 or 4 more times before signing day. Not saying he's going to come to us. I'm not putting him down, by the way. I'm not saying anything bad about him. I'm just saying commitments don't mean anything.
Dude,
anymore,
sometimes
man.
I just think I'm
mean
old,
nothing.
man. Rodney, I'm old. I'm out of touch. The word commitment does not mean what it used to mean. Like
And that's what I'm
I
saying,
am
John.
just
Don't
I
even
am
let
I
it
am
bother you, man.
I'm
Don't
too
even let it bother you, and no one should. It means nothing. The commitment means absolutely nothing. I'll believe C.J. Carr is our quarterback next year when I see it. I mean that. I don't care about recruiting. I'll watch a little stuff about it here and there to learn about the players themselves, but I find nothing into a commitment, especially after these last couple of recruiting cycles. It's like, dude, we were all number one in the country. Oh, now we're number 3. Okay, but we should number 3. And then we fell all the way to 10. It's like, and I had to like be excited all year to drop off a cliff because we fell to whatever 10th, 11th, 12th. It's still good, you know. But it's like I'm going to sit there and I'm going to literally all year long be, nervous about. It's like for that, and not that that's bad. Like that's good. We finished it, but isn't that just nice? It's okay. We finished 10th in the country. Great. Okay. All right. We're number 12. Okay. To do better next time. Oh, we're number 7, number 8. I mean, is it worth all the putting ourselves through all this stuff? You know what I'm saying, John? I mean, in the last few years, it's been anywhere from, I think at the high end, I mean, if you're going back maybe a decade, maybe 4th is the highest we finished, and the worst is like 15th. That's pretty good. I mean, that I'm just saying that those 10 spaces, that's not a lot of leeway one way or another. There's a huge difference between the first 3 or 4 teams in the country, you know this, than from like who finishes 5th or 6th or 15th. You know what I'm saying? It looks better. It looks better on paper to finish with a single digit, you know, in recruiting. But at the end of the day, is there a big difference between who's number 4 or 5 or who's number 15 or 16 or 17? Probably not a lot. But there's a big difference in those top 3. So if we're not getting in that mix, should we really care that much? Think about that.
I mean, I
that.
just
I'm not saying I don't want to get into that mix. I
dude,
do.
I
But
just
I'm saying for right now.
I just can't not think the higher the better. Like it's all about margin for
Sure.
error. It's all about all of this is about
made more sense, John, when you talked about the 80% blue chip rate. I think that matters. And you know, up until maybe just recently, we were doing really well in that aspect. I still think we're going to be hovering, you know, in the high 7. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I think that's what we have to get ourselves, at least for right now. What we should care about is hitting those really high 4-star guys, not dropping too. Look, a 3-star player can be a great player. We've seen it happen several times. But I think the important thing is when he is recruiting at speed, he's recruiting a lot of length and versatility, as opposed to just being the right kind of guy. It's like he's going after athletes. And athletes, that's, you know, you can do that all day. That's how the Miami Hurricane team built their teams, man. They did never finish in the top 3 or 4 teams in the country for the most part until they started winning national titles every year. They were like always in that top 7 or 8, but they got the fastest players with the best attitude and chips on their shoulder, man. And that's how they did it.
Yeah.
That's how they built that program.
Yeah. Listen, man, I get what you're saying, and they are going for that speed and all that. I just think I have to admit, I was holding out hope that Freeman would be able to pull in some more elite guys quicker than what we've seen in one full recruiting class, and then this one halfway through the year. I just thought it'd be.
What I'm saying is, I think this okay. I think that can still happen, and I think it can happen real soon. What we're seeing from Freeman is a guy. If you just look at think about Kelly's period of years where they were 8 and 5. Okay, I know people will say, "Oh well, Kelly inherited the Charlie Weiss teams," you know, whereas Freeman inherited, you know, a much more stable program. That's true, but people forget something. Weiss was a hell of a recruiter, man. Mainly on offense, to be fair, but he always had top 10 classes. Okay, so it wasn't like when Kelly got that team, while they were dysfunctional, they were not lacking in talent. They were not. That's what people forget. They were a talented team, especially on offense, but Kelly had to build the attitude. That took him like 5 years to do. Well, he got it. Okay, year 3 he got it, but then they kind of fell off again. Okay, let's just say in year 4 they were what? They were 9 and 4, same as this year. Let's base it off that. Okay, Kelly in his first year, or in his first year at the national talent game, finished 9-4. And I think Marcus Freeman's 9-4 team is better than Kelly's 9-4 team. I'll say that right now. Okay. This is a
wait,
though.
Wait. I got to stop you. Kelly is not up against the same hurdles Freeman is in terms of recruiting. If Freeman had Kelly's job 5 years ago, Notre Dame would have 5 stars all over the field. I cannot compare the recruiting hurdles Kelly had 7, 8 years ago to what Freeman's up against now with NIL, pay-for-play, free transfer portal that we're not involved in for undergrads. I can't compare the two at all. It's a different world.
Oh, no. You're 100% correct. I'm talking about on the field. I'm talking about Marcus Freeman. I know I kind of went in a million different places there. Let me bring it back down to more focus, is what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying here is Marcus Freeman was 9-4 in his first year, and we saw him get better as the year went on. Kelly is supposed to be this great coach and great developer, okay? He saw he understood, I think, after a couple of years, he had a rein in the recruiting the way he felt like he had to do that and develop the team the way he thought he had to do. What I'm saying is I feel better right now, and I'm saying this honestly. Now, this year is going to prove a lot, obviously, okay? But in year 2 under Freeman, I feel better about where that program is right now and then possibly where it's going. Well, that's the youth of the coaching staff and whatnot. And what I think we forget, Marcus Freeman wasn't just a great recruiter when he came in and wasn't just known for his recruiting. Keep in mind, he was a high-rising assistant coach because of Cincinnati, 2 years in a row, finished in the top 10 in total defense. And that was after a couple of years of actually get them to get it right. He had a very similar first year at Notre Dame, where the first half of the season they struggled a little bit picking up that scheme, but by the second half of the year they were kicking a lot of ass. Okay, now he goes out, he's got to be the head coach, just take a step back from that a little bit. He hires Al Golden. We'll see where this goes, man. Year 2, everything's about year 2, but I think this guy is going in the right direction, and I think this Bavacqua hire could be another cog in that machinery to push it in the right direction. So what I'm saying is, I guess what I'm trying to say is, what we have to do, we have to calm everybody down. So let's do this now. Let's look at this realistically. I think we all lost our crap over Justin Scott because it happened the same week another guy decommitted. But you know as well as I do, this Notre Dame yo-yo is going to come back up. It's going to come back up. The key.
The sun keeps coming up, Rodney. The sun keeps. Hey, you're right. Every time I get down, the sun comes up and shines on that dome one more time, man. It keeps shining. There's always hope.
I think Freeman is the right guy, and I think he's going to become a great coach.
I think Freeman. No, wait. Freeman's the right guy. That isn't my issue. It's all of the external governors on the right guy that I have an issue with. And that is what I have a very, very big problem with. Freeman gets Notre Dame. Freeman loves Notre Dame. Freeman understands the vibe. Freeman gets all of that in a way Kelly didn't, in a way Weiss couldn't. Like, he gets it, but you got to let the guy cook. Get out of his way. Give him what he needs to win. Trust that he's going to do the right things. Let that guy cook.
And, this is the other thing. And this is, talking about politicians early on and how what I hate is that we have a Notre Dame. We don't even, said there's about 12 guys. You told me, you said, do you think there's about 12 guys that are kind of responsible for the NIL and then just the board of trustees and the money and everything that goes into the program? Am I correct in that approximation, around 12 people that you think, run the show?
Wait, what did you ask me? Yeah, I lost you. What did you ask?
Oh, I said, are we of the opinion there's about 10 to 15 guys, we'll call it, that kind of run the show?
Yeah, 100%. It's all those admins that are all rich and high and mighty and holier than thou and only worried about being fancy and academics and research and grants and all this bullshit, and none of it's football. They don't care, bro. When that private, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. I'm going to give you an example. Go ahead.
That's why we all need to know who these people are and you know their name. Because I want them to feel the pressure so bad, John. Because people do things when they feel like they have to, or when they're forced to, or when they feel pressure. If they're left to their own devices, and if that's the way these guys are, and they don't really care as much about football, nothing's going to change.
Let me tell you this. I'm going to give you this as an example. And I only know this because I'm friends with the son of somebody who used to be on the board, okay? Remember when Notre Dame played Clemson and got blown out in the playoff game? I think it was at Jerry's World. Do you remember that? 2018, was it?
Was it the one, okay, so you're talking about the first one, the 30-3 loss?
Yeah, yep. So we went.
Oh, yeah, I remember all too well.
Okay, we made it all through that season and then made the playoff at Jerry's World and everything. And Notre Dame had their private plane for all the administrative people and their families to fly down to Jerry's World and then come back after the game. Barely anybody got on the plane. They just didn't want to fly down there. They figured we're not going to win anyways. Why bother? Not a big deal. I was told that plane was 90% empty. Our own administrators didn't even find it worth it for the day to fly on a chartered private jet to Jerry's World and be back in their own beds the same night. They figured it wasn't worth the trip. That tells me a lot.
Oh.
They don't care. They don't care. Football's not a priority. They don't give a shit if I yell till I die in this basement. They're rich. They have clout. They have highfalutin high society standing. That's the priority. They don't care about what they don't care about what we care about. They don't.
It is the irony, though, when you think about it, because you said it was a wonderful point, man. You and that one caller made about being one of the top business schools in the country. Just let them, just give it to a grad student. Guaranteed they would come up with a great plan.
It ain't that hard. I'm a dummy idiot in my stupid basement. The minute the court system ruled NIL was legal, I had a full plan for Notre Dame within 12 hours. They should have listened to me. I'm dead serious. You open up that alumni database.
Show, man. And I mean, I know I'm making this more about just our society in general, but the failing upwards and and the richer, the dumber, it's unbelievable, man. I mean, I'm seeing it all over, and it's so sad that there was a time in Notre Dame football where it was like there was a pride and an honor and a class, and now it just stinks of arrogance now. All the times in the past when people accuse us of being arrogant, I thought it was misplaced. I honestly did. And certainly as a fan base, I don't agree with it, because some of the fans that we've had to endure for the past, 35 years, I would say it's really humbled a lot of us. But for a good portion of the Notre Dame administration, man, they've lost their way. They really, really have.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like you said, man. The stature of the university itself almost got so big that they're losing touch at kind of what got them there. And it's just a little frustrating, dude.
I think that's what the pressure needs to start. We talked about this a few times ago. It's like with again, I know I make a lot of analogies or a lot of symbolism here, but it's just like what politicians do. They keep us yelling at each other and talk about social issues, so we don't look at the policies that are failing and the people that are leading our country in general on both sides of the aisle, by the way, that suck. And it's the same thing they're doing. It's like they got us fighting over all this stuff. Oh, freedom can't do this. Oh, Golden was here better to do. When in reality, what it comes down to is it's those and mother uppers on the top that are ruining this, or that are not maintaining that level of excellence. That you can like we had talked about before. You can have all the things they want to hold the university standard to, and still and realize at the heart of it, it came from football. It came from football. Doesn't mean you ignore all the other things, because all these other things have risen.
Yeah.
The Notre Dame sports in general has been a revelation in terms of what college athletics can do in terms of the wide range of sports. It doesn't mean you de-emphasize football. You keep that at the top.
Yeah.
You keep that at the top.
Yeah.
You just bring everything else closer to it. Like where there's this big gap, football and everything else, now everything else has risen. That doesn't mean you bring that down.
Yep. Nope.
Dumb.
That's my big complaint. All right, man. Hey, let me ask you, am I going to see you in a few days? Sunday? You going to come by still?
You're going to see a 99.9% effort. You're going to see 100% effort. And then we just got to hope that the bat, you know what? If I make it there, I'm thinking this is almost like Groundhog Day. If I'm there, it's a great time. If I'm not, it's a bad time.
Don't do it, man. Don't do it. I'm telling
there.
you, don't let me know when I'm leaving that you're arriving this time. We did that in April. We're not doing that again, all right? I hope to see you. Text me and let me know, all right, man?
Okay, but that's not fair, John, because the reason I was arriving late is because I had to find rides from two other people because my car broke down halfway there, but I still made it there. What I'm saying is, if I'm there, and I will be, I have every intention to be there, and I can't wait to be fun and all that, I'm going to look at that as a great sign for the rest of the Notre Dame football season.
There you go.
If
Hey,
not,
I'll take what we could get, baby. Take what we could get. I really hope I see you Sunday, my friend. Really good catching up with you. Good call.
Man, have a good one.
Have a good birthday week. I'll see you on
Sunday.
Sunday. All right, man? Have a good one.
All
See ya. Oh, man. All right, guys. That's going to be it. Every one of these, I'm like, maybe this one will only go an hour. Here I am, 3 hours and 6 minutes in, man. I love this shit. I love this. And this is how it's going to be on the post-game shows, 1 minute after every Notre Dame game. Thank you to everybody who called. I think today I actually was able to get to most of the people that called. Some of them dropped off, didn't want to wait. But I got to almost everybody that was waiting. That makes me feel good. I wanted to catch up with you guys. Thanks for the chats, the super chats, the donations. Pat for dropping in, even though he's on vacation doing things. I appreciate him dropping in. Everybody who called. I'll put something out in the morning and then a short tomorrow night. And then we'll be back at it Friday morning and then Saturday night again, leading into Sunday at the Hartman autograph event. So the rest of the week's going to be off to the races. But I really appreciate all you guys being here. I love you guys. We have a great group. Everybody involved. Nick Dean, Luke's cousin Freddie, you even weren't bad today. Drunk Vigo, all you guys. Sid Irish, all of it. I got too many Ohio State fans in here, but they're nice to me, so I can't be mean to them. Too many of these Ohio State people have been nice to me lately, and I just can't hate somebody who's nice to me. And we both hate Michigan, so we're always going to have that together. Pat, behave yourself. I know I've seen you in many a bar, and I'm afraid of what might happen. So you behave yourself, my friend. All right, I'll put something out in the morning, something out tomorrow night, and then we're going live Friday morning, normal time, 9 a.m. Have a good one, everybody in Irish Nation. Love you all. Thanks for being here.